Welcome back to the channel. This is Ready Storm, and you are watching What If Naruto Was Born with a Hidden Magic. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Or wasting no time, let's start the story.
We are in the office of the Hokage. A week had passed since Team 7 returned from Takigakure. Although no one ever noticed, Naruto Uzumaki was carrying a small deck box on his left hip while sporting his typical blue and orange jumpsuit. He never saw the need to really use what was inside, but he always had it there. Sakura Haruno was dressed in her traditional Part 1 red dress. Sasuke was dressed in his bright tan shorts and blue shirt. With only his right eye, silver hair, and fingers past the first knuckle visible, their sensei, Kakashi Hatake, was undoubtedly the most enigmatic of them all. He was reading an orange book as well. Without taking his eyes off his book, Kakashi remarked, "Hokage. Sama, I think a C rank would help them out. They've been far too high, strung, and need an outlet." Kakashi. A random chunin began, but Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, interrupted. Kakashi. Why do you believe they should get another one this soon? They need a cool down period of 3D rank missions, you know that. Considering who's on my team, the only one that would actually need the cool down period is Sakura, and she's not going for it either. Kakashi made the point. With a simple sigh, the Hokage took one from the rack. The escort was a low C rank. Before he tossed the scroll to Kakashi, he said, "Send in Seth." A second young man had entered. It looked like the man was wearing a dark orange robe with black trim. In addition, he wore a dark orange pointy hat with a dark blue trim. He wore solid dark blue boots. Naruto recognized the small stick at his side right away. His eyes widened a little, but they soon returned to normal. Kakashi, who had dismissed it as waiting for a successful mission, was the only one who noticed. The boy's head bowed a little. "My name is Seth Shadowblade. I am currently trying to get back home, and the only lead I have is actually guarded by what seems to be thugs. I need to get there, but I can't handle those guys on my own, sadly. We'll meet at the North Gate tomorrow at 0800, I will." Naruto interrupted Kakashi stating, "I'll let him stay with me." Kakashi noted, "Naruto, as the sensei, I should watch over him. I don't think you know what you're dealing with, and he'll probably want someone to talk to about his home." Naruto sighed. "Besides, he may have information that I've been wanting to find out myself, if his clothing is any indication." Kakashi asked, "You know something about it?" "It's only a guess, but the chance of it being the truth is really high." Naruto replied. "Come on, Seth. I'll show you to my place." Seth arched an eyebrow in perplexity, and Naruto's eyes widened as he saw his deck box, before he began to follow him seriously. The apartment of Naruto, if someone saw it, they would say it wasn't his place because it was surprisingly clean. Conversely, Seth was more interested than anything else. "What school are you from, and how did you get here?" replied Seth. "Actually, I need to figure something out. Your clothing tells me you attend Ravenwood Wizard Academy, am I right?" Seth acknowledged, "Yeah. I'm a Storm student. I'm still fresh, though. I actually wanted to ask about the life and death teachers, Sylvia and Malair Drake." "Was one of them your teacher?" Naruto gave a headshake. "According to Naruto, who took out several cards, I'm a Storm student, like you. My old deck didn't make the jump when I got here. It was 4 years ago my time. I was there for 2 years, and when I got back, only 14 days had passed. It's not a good thing, sadly, because this world is not connected to the spiral. I ended up there by accident." He displayed a trident card with a gold color. "All I have these days are treasure cards, and I made them myself here. The supplies are surprisingly abundant here, minus the mistwood, of course." "Wow!" Seth exclaimed in awe. He possessed all the spells Seth was aware of, plus some more. Then he noticed it. "Is that a..." "Yup." Naruto exclaimed. "A card with a gold Tempest. Arguably my favorite, actually. I make these the most, and for good reason." "Why? And how come people here don't use spells?" Both questions have the same answer. This world isn't familiar with mana. We use a combination of physical energy and spiritual energy to create another known as chakra. You see, chakra is mainly balanced completely between physical and spiritual. Mana, on the other hand, is 82% mental energy and 18% spiritual energy. "So, you ever had to use a card since you've been here?" replied Seth. "Nope. But if I did, I'd be using mana, and not chakra. Coming here didn't decrease my mana, nor did my chakra reserves decrease. In fact, I had used what time I could these last 4 years, to Learn every spell I had learned at Ravenwood, only without the cards, a wand, or anything really. I managed to reproduce each and every spell I knew from the Storm School, with chakra and mana. Whoa. That's rad. I can sense your mana levels, and if I had to put it into a point system, you'd only have maybe 30 mana. My mana is actually far above 400. Hasn't increased, nor has it decreased since I've been back. I gotta admit, I'm impressed at that. Seth's eyes widened as he said, that's nothing. On the same scale, my chakra reserves would be well over 2 million. No way. He was told by Naruto, yes way. He slowly shook his head, asking, you know why I love Tempest, now? It's because you can't overload it. I can charge as much chakra as I want, and it'll deal even more damage just by adding in more. So who's got the Storm School now? Seth let out a sigh. Professor Ballastrom is pretty funny, and his squeaky voice does even more good for his students. That old frog? Seth blinked. Well, he is a frog, you know him? Seth drew a tenuous parallel between Naruto's fox-like grin and that. What? Let's just say our little record was tied off at 62.62 when I force-activated a portal that brought me back. I was in Marylebone at the time. I never got to finish it off. Rivals? The point made by Naruto was, eternal rivals? Halston Ballastrom and I were always at each other's throats, for reasons unknown to anyone but us. He had become known as the Frog King of Storms. I had gained the title Storm Fox. After all, he revealed a particular gold card. The fox had 9 tails and yellow tips, and it was blue and purple. This is Storm Kyuubi. If a lightning bat spell would take 2 mana, Storm Kyuubi would take 50 mana. This spell is an original. I'm the only one that knows how to pull it off. It's also why I gained the title Storm Fox. Seth blew a whistle. You gotta be a legend of some sort. How come I've never heard of you? Wouldn't be surprised. Most of the Storm School at the time didn't like me that much because I was younger than them by a few years, and yet I always outdid them. I took to storm spells like a fish to water. It didn't matter that I wasn't at my home, which is here. When I'm using a storm spell, I always feel at peace. That's strange. I didn't think anyone else had that feeling. Old Hal was the only one who knew. He swore not to tell. It's why we became rivals. When using storm spells, I was in my natural element. Even after getting back, I used the storm spells, and still felt at peace with them. So, you mind explaining chakra to me? I haven't heard of it at all. Then, without realizing Kakashi was observing them both, Naruto began a much longer explanation. Kakashi was secretly shocked by Naruto's intelligence. However, he has never had an excuse to demonstrate his intelligence. However, I'll need to learn more about this Ravenwood. I feel uneasy in this spiral place. Before it began, not even the mission in Wave was bad enough to give me one. Seth pointed to the bed after Naruto showed him the bedroom, which was still quite tidy, and then he returned to the living room. Then he said something. I know you're listening to this, Kakashi Sensei. So I'll ask you a question. Why would I want to show off my true strength when I have an entire village and the civilian council calling for my head every month? Think on that, and you'll know why I didn't show any of it off. That impressed Kakashi, and he departed. Naruto. We'll probably have to accompany him to his house. You'll likely benefit even more from it. To fall asleep to the majority of outside views, Naruto just sat down with his back to the wall, folded his arms, and closed his eyes. He was meditating, but only a person skilled in the practice would be aware of it. A tiny electromagnetic field encircled him as he entered his head, primarily to gain additional knowledge from the enormous fox that resided there. At 0830 the following morning, Naruto and Seth were walking to the front gate. Naruto was dressed differently, while Seth was still dressed as he had been the day before. He wore a staff with a spiral on one end and an amethyst on the other, and on his back he carried what appeared to be a jester hat in dark blue and gold. In addition, he wore red boots with straps made of black leather. In addition, he wore a long, sleeved, ankle-length, golden yellow and dark blue tunic that hung just above his boots. The deckbox on his waist was only seen by Kakashi. Sasuke said, well, at least it isn't orange. Naruto calmly said, shut it, Sasuke. I'm wearing this for a reason. Sasuke asked, and what reason is that, Dobi? Naruto just gave a headshake. None of them saw the astral spirit of a 9-tailed fox on his left shoulder, but he said, you'll see. Anyway, we should get moving, right sensei? Kakashi noted, he's right, but you do realize you both are late. Naruto shot back, at least it's not 3 hours like you always are. With a glance at Seth, Kakashi said, touché. Though, I can't help but notice the similarities between your outfits. Sakura inquired out of pure curiosity, come to think of it, he's right. Where did you get that outfit, Naruto? Then Naruto shot back, I made them myself, we should really get going. Seth and Team 7 left at a normal pace. Then, some 20 minutes from the village, Sakura posed a query. Seth, what's it like at your home? Well, it's nice. I come from a place called Earth. I was called into a place known as Wizard City. Next thing I know, crazy things have started happening. Being new, I couldn't figure out who knew what, and what was true, and what was false. Wizard City had just gotten hectic when I got pulled into something. Ended up nearby. Tried to find my way back on my own. I know where to go, but I can't get there without help. Like I said, the place is guarded with thugs, and I had to get out of there before they killed me. How come I've never heard of this Wizard City, or even this Spiral country? Because the Spiral isn't a country, Naruto added. And how would you know? I ended up in the Spiral when I was 8. Gigi said I was missing for 2 weeks when I got back, even though 2 years passed in the Spiral. Everywhere else in the Spiral has their times completely synchronized. I think the difference in time is because our realm, one I'd call Elementia if I could, wasn't connected to the Spiral. Naruto clarified. She gulped when she saw Naruto's fierce glare and the sudden outburst of killing intent. Really? I guess they'd have to be simple-minded for you too. They are not simple-minded. Especially those I cared for there. Sylvia, Cyrus, and Merle Ambrose. Ambrose could easily outdo the Sandaime Hokage in jutsu capacity. If he could access chakra, that is. What are you talking about, Naruto? Everyone has chakra. Naruto noted, they don't use chakra throughout the Spiral. They use mana, which is different on every level. The only thing I can easily say is that, while chakra is more attuned to certain elements based on the person, mana can be used by anyone, and is not restricted based on the person. People may end up using one particular branch more than others, but that doesn't make it harder or easier to learn them. Seth gave a nod. Sakura asked Seth, so, you specialize in magic? And he nodded. What kind? After Naruto nodded, he went on, well, in Wizard City, there's an academy of sorts. In this academy, there are 7 branches, which we call schools. There are 6 main schools, and the last one has the classroom in another realm, so there are very few of that school. The other 6 are actually split into 2 categories. Legend elements, and spirit schools. Spirit schools are called myth, life, and death. Myth has basically anything and everything that was considered a myth in any realm on the Spiral, even the ones not aware of it. Seth clarified. Naruto went on, life is far more attuned to nature. If you want a good comparison, picture the first Hokage's Mokuton abilities, combined with Tsunade's healing prowess. You've got the life school in a nutshell. I'm not that familiar with death, to be honest, so I can't really be of much help, there, acknowledged Seth. The death school is more on the darker side of the spectrum. If the spirit schools had a scale, life would be pure, myth would be neutral, and death would be dark. Death and life are polar opposites, Naruto clarified. Death is also the second most versatile school in Ravenwood. It has few healing spells, and is more offensive than life. However, death has one thing none of the other schools have. Drain spells. Drain spells damage the target, and heal the user. A lot of those who go for the death school turn out pretty bad. Those that don't have a reason to stay sane. More often than not, life students and death students are at odds with each other, mainly because of their ideology conflicting on almost all points. Seth acknowledged, wow, I didn't know that. Anyway, the legend elements are fire, ice and storm. Naruto, do you know anything about fire? Naruto gave a nod. Fire is mainly an offensive element and pretty hard to control, for the most part. If you get good enough in the fire school, it's rumored that you could become immune to flames. They're more headstrong, reckless, but also very compassionate when they care for someone. More often than not, they're loyal to a fault, and come off as stubborn. The best way to put it. The best in the fire school have something similar, if not identical to the will of fire. Ice is more of a loner element. Most that go into the ice school do so because they don't like being around others that much. They're much more for defense than offense, and are a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? Seth responded. Naruto said, I think detached fits. Most that go into the ice school don't really bond with others that much, and rarely trust anyone. Those that earn their trust are pretty lucky, if you ask me. Kakashi gave nod. So, Naruto, if you've been to Wizard City, and actually went into one of the schools, you'd be in fire. Naruto nodded his head. I'm sorry, but that's what I see from the description. Naruto noted, we still haven't gone into the last of the legend elements. It's arguably the most powerful, the Storm School. Sasuke said, if we get the chance, I'd go for that one. Naruto told him sternly, Sasuke, if you went for it, you could very easily kill yourself. Sakura asked, if you could do it, how bad could it be? Storm is definitely the most powerful, that much I'll admit, but it's also the hardest to control. Naruto clarified. You know how I always went around playing pranks all those years? Sakura sneered, how could I forget? You were always annoying. Picture that, but in the form of lightning, wind, and water raging instead of Chunin, Junin, and Anbu. Then multiply all the chaos by about, 2000. You've got the chaos of the Storm School. Without a way to control the chaotic nature of storms, you could easily kill yourself if you're not careful. Sasuke can barely control his emotions when a certain name is brought up. He'd never survive the Storm School. To be honest, I'd put him in either fire or death. You mind explaining the Storm School to me a bit? I'm still new to it, and just started grasping the basics, Seth responded. Naruto grinned and nodded. To be honest, saying divination, or the magic used in the Storm School, is hard to control as light. Well, I think the best way to explain it is by saying Kakashi. Sensei is a pervert. Sasuke arched an eyebrow and asked, and how is that relevant? Because, Sasuke, he reads porn, in public, in front of females, males, and the Hokage. He's a super pervert, at the least. Naruto attempted to clarify. Anyway, Storm is hard to control, but can also deal the most damage. Those who follow Storm naturally, tend to be a little chaotic in the mind, usually highly annoying to others, can get under just about anyone's skin, and some have been able to read minds. The divination is much more of an offensive school than anything else. They tend to learn things quickly when given the chance, or simply given the basics of something. After being taught the basics, they can easily work their way up to master fairly quickly. The true threat in a diviner is not in their spells, but in their mind. There is no telling what way they would attack. Seth acknowledged, I can attest to that, being a diviner myself. However, there's also the fact that there are very few true masters of divination. Naruto made the point. Surprised, Seth said, wait, few? Why only so few? Naruto clarified, because of the nature of the storm itself. No storm wants to be controlled. A true master would know this. They accept this. They don't control the storm. They are the storm. When one is so much like the storm, in mind, personality, and at heart, once trained properly, they can become true masters of divination. Sakura questioned, a little perplexed, and how does one do that? Naruto gave a headshake. To be honest, not even I know that. I just know the best way to tell if you have the potential to be a true master of storm. Now curious, Kakashi questioned, and how is that? Naruto let out a sigh. Because every true master of the storm had felt at peace while using a storm spell. Everyone that is recorded to be the best of the best in divination have commented, at least once, that they felt at peace, or something similar to it, when using a storm spell. They know the best ways to use the spells, because, in a way, they're the element that it draws from. My name means spiraling maelstrom. Figure it out from there. When Kakashi asked, so, you'd be in the storm school? He received a nod. I see. So, train you right, and you'd be the best there ever was. But train you wrong from the get-go. You won't progress that much, if at all. That's the gist of it. If you can catch the interest of a diviner, and manage to keep it on something, they'll get it down so quickly it'll leave you wondering, how the fuck did they get it so fast? Naruto said. Diviners can be highly variant in their skills, or simply do whatever it is others would think are crazy. In fact, most diviners are called crazy, insane, annoying, and then some. A diviner has no true specialty, when it comes to skills having nothing to do with magic, at least. The majority of storm spells would fall under water, wind and lightning. Kakashi filed it away for later use and nodded. So, if your chakra also reflected which school you went into, you would be wind, lightning or water. He hesitated. If you have a way to find out, I'd put my two best elements as wind and water, with lightning as a close third. The fire school, or pyromancy, would have fire and lightning as their best two. Ice. I'd say wind and water, with very little chance of lightning and fire. Ice are also known as a thaumaturge. Myth would likely have earth as their best. They're called conjurers. Life, earth and water, no contest. They're called thurgists. Death. I couldn't really say where they would end up, honestly. They're commonly called necromancers. So, since you seem to know so much, where would we be? Kakashi questioned, silently challenging them. Naruto gave a little hum. Kakashi nodded slightly, reaching a similar conclusion. To be honest, Sensei, you're hard to place. However, if I had to guess, I'd put you in either fire or myth. Sakura would either be life or myth. She has a lot of potential in life, and they tend to be the best healers in the spiral. Myth is also good for her because of her brain. She is the smartest girl I've ever known, and she could grasp myth far better than I could. Sasuke, I already told you would either be death or fire. I'm Storm, no contest. Something then triggered Naruto's mana senses. Then he gave a slight turn of his head. Seth gave him a look. You feel it? Yeah, and I know this feeling. There's only one thing in each realm that feels like this, as far as I know. Naruto replied. I wasn't able to get close enough to get a good look, but it seemed like a door on a hill, but there was no building in sight, said Seth. Slowly, Naruto turned his head. Seth, was it on top of the hill, or built into it? On top. Does that mean anything? Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Yes, it does, and I know how to get you back, too. You do? Yup. Through that door. So, we get him to the door, and then leave? No, we don't know if it's tied to a certain point in the spiral. Our mission is to get him back to Wizard City. The spiral is filled with countless realms. I don't have the keystone with me, so I can't direct it. The best I can do is activate it, and we go through. It'll be a random jump, but I know what Wizard City looks like around its spiral door, as they're called. I've used it once before, but nowhere near enough to be able to target it. How are you so sure? Asked Kakashi. Like I said, I've been to the spiral before. I don't have the right keys, so the best way to get back to Wizard City is by jumping randomly, until we get there. Acknowledged Naruto. First things first, we have to clear out the area and get to the door on this plane. Then we can worry about getting to Wizard City. Seth gave a nod. He's right, I think. As they got closer to a section of the forest, Naruto said, I can force activate the door, but I can't choose where I end up if I do. That's the only downside at the moment, it's close. How can you tell? Asked Kakashi. The spiral doors, the gateway to each realm in the spiral, has a unique signature. The spiral door is omnipotent, for lack of a better word. The energy flowing through them is unique in the fact that it's the only thing that has equal points in physical, spiritual, and mental energies. I can sense that energy. Chakra is normally 50% physical and 50% spiritual energies. Mana, which they use in the spiral, is 82% mental energy, and 18% spiritual energy. The spiral doors are exactly 1/3 mental, 1/3 spiritual, and 1/3 physical energies. It's that specific. What's more is, it takes 3 people to make one in a new realm. A kunai was drawn by Naruto from somewhere. With a frown on his face, he threw it into the bushes. Naruto. Then Naruto realized, that was a mana beast. He then collected additional signatures, none of which used chakra or mana. There's more on the way. Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi got ready. Sasuke and Sakura were unaware of it until he simply walked in front of them, took his staff off his back, and produced a card from his deck box. What are you? After throwing the card into the air and turning the staff around, Naruto directed it directly at the approaching tangle of bandits. Tempest. The still floating card glowed brightly, and before everyone heard a rush of water, a lot of storm clouds, rain, and the smell of ozone entered. Sasuke and Sakura also leapt up, but Kakashi grabbed Seth and leapt to a branch. Naruto. Seth was wide-eyed in the force behind that spell, but they were ignored. The fact that Naruto was riding the waves that came up directly behind him startled the others. The only person who saw it was Kakashi, but Naruto's eyes were glowing white. Right into the charging thugs, he rode the waves. Then, with the card between his middle and index fingers, Naruto held out another one before it began to glow brightly. The water drained away, leaving behind an egg. Before it reached a height of roughly 6 stories, it broke apart and a light blue dinosaur emerged. The other 40.2 who had survived the wave were then ripped apart. Seth was filled with awe, but the others approached him in disbelief. His eyes had returned to their typical shade of blue. Still astonished, Kakashi said, Naruto. Naruto turned to Seth, whose expression remained amazed, and said, they aren't the first ones for me to kill. Seth. That's what you could very well do, one day. You used Tempest, and then Stormzilla. Only one that can truly master a school can use 3 spells simultaneously. Not even old Hal could do that when I last saw him. Naruto made the point. Wait, 3? Seth asked, startled, but the awe remained. Yup. Stormblade was active from the get-go. It increased the damage potential of the Storm School spells I use. Most can only use it with one spell. I can put it on for a time limit, and keep using spell after spell with the same bonus. No pyromancer I've met can do that with Fireblade, Thurgists with Lifeblade, Conjurers with Mythblade, Necromancers with Deathblade, Sorcerers with Balanceblade, but I have seen one person do so with Iceblade. And then there's Bladestorm, only usable by Sorcerers. That one I've only seen once. You can use it on a group of people, or use it on yourself only to make it a major time limit. I'm good enough to use Stormblade and keep it activate for 30 minutes, and use it repeatedly. The fact that I can use up to 5 in rapid succession is extremely good. For me, at least. And how do you manage 5 in a row? The Sandaime can use 5 jutsu at once. I can use up to 3 storm spells at once, but I can launch 5, one right after the other, with Stormblade active. It's a hard aspect, but... He glanced at the entrance on a slope. As I thought. It's a spiral door. The group as a whole began examining it. After attempting to open the door and discovering that the opposite side was identical to the location there, Kakashi remarked, I can't find anything to use it, and opening it doesn't show anything. Naruto nodded in anticipation of that outcome. After the door was shut, Naruto grasped the handle and used his left hand to channel mana and chakra into the door before everything passed through it. Close it, and let me do what I can. Then he opened the glowing door. Despite a purple vortex in the center, it was entirely black. Well, it's open. Sensei? Why me? I'm the only one that can force it open, and we've got a time limit. Replied Naruto. Soon after, Sakura and Sasuke followed Kakashi through. Grabbing Seth's wrist, Naruto leapt through. Unknown area, undergrowth. Naruto and Seth appeared through the door, before it closed behind them. Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke gazed at them both. Naruto grinned and said, well, that was fun. Fun? Inquired Sakura. I felt like I got torn in half. In response, Naruto said, 22 times. 22 times I felt like I was split into 4 pieces. Sakura yelled, and you call that fun? Yup. Sasuke said, you're crazy. Naruto shot back, so are the majority of shinobi. Your point? Besides, using Kage Bunshin so much, you get used to the feeling. Kakashi gave a nod of approval. That would make sense, and the fact you can make over 1,000 Kage Bunshin at once is impressive. Most Junin can't do that. Naruto then turned to look around and said, it's all in the reserves, sensei. It appeared to be a big tree's underside. And then, through the vines, he saw a signature. This is. The others cautiously followed him as he proceeded to a single spot with stairs leading down. Yo. Bartleby. Open your fucking mouth or I'll fry some roots. They all heard a moan. What? Who's there? Naruto stated gravely, you have until 3 to open your mouth, or the sparks fly. 1. 2. There were tiny electrical tendrils extending between his fingers. He fired several bolts that struck the roots, saying, 3. Arg. That hurt, a strong, much older voice yelled. Want another dose? If not, open up. Before they found themselves staring at a cobblestone walkway with a number of others nearby, poised for an attack, there was rumbling. Seth and Team 7 emerged from the tree. Only one person knew who they were, and Naruto and Seth knew him too. Seth yelled, Professor Ballistrum, Stormfrog. Naruto followed suit. The outburst startled everyone, and then a small blue frog wearing a dark blue outfit and a top hat leapt down in front of them. Seth? Naruto? Both of them gave a nod. Seth, go to your dorm. As for you, Naruto. Naruto's hand interrupted the frog. Before you ask, who else would have the balls or guts to use a small lightning bolt on Bartleby's roots? Said Naruto. The frog said, oh yes. That's definitely you. So, why are you here? Seth ended up in my world, and we found a spiral door there. We got lucky since I had to force activate the thing. First shot, got here. The tree caught his eye. Sorry big guy, but I had to prove a point. Naruto. Only you would do that. Naruto smiled slightly and said, and that's why. He saw the sad expressions and said, anyway, where's Sylvia? Since I'm here, I might as well say. Hi. Only Kakashi and the frog heard his trembling voice as he asked, Halston, what happened to her? I'm sorry, but, she's gone. Naruto recognized the voice, and his eyes widened. No. No no, he leapt away before Kakashi could even react. Kakashi gave the frog a look. Who is this Sylvia? The frog then looked into Kakashi's visible eye and said, one of the only people that actually appreciated Naruto's help while he was here. They were close. She seemed to take to him like a mother to a son. It seemed mutual, too. And you are? He pats Sakura and Sasuke on the head and says, his sensei at his home. Kakashi Hatake. These are his teammates. Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno. The frog looked at a bald man wearing yellow robes and said, you'll want to meet with Headmaster Ambrose. He should be able to officially connect your realm to the spiral. Just because a door is there, does not mean it is officially connected. Cyrus, could you lead them to Ambrose? Someone has to check on Naruto, and only I would know where he went. The man let out a sigh. Follow me, you three. Kakashi motioned for his pupils to follow him, and they entered a tunnel that led to a much livelier area. They entered a much bigger office with an older man at the desk. Cyrus, what happened? You're losing your hearing, Ambrose. The elderly man laughed and said, I've still got a few years left on me. So, what's up? Cyrus answered, Naruto Uzumaki has returned, and he brought friends. The elderly man's eyes grew wide. His worried tone caught Kakashi's attention, and Cyrus nodded pitifully. Oh dear, did he find out about Sylvia? He asked. I should go see him and explain what happened. Cyrus noted, Professor Ballistrom has already gone after him, it should be enough. I do not believe it will be. Who is this Sylvia? Inquired Kakashi. Oh, I didn't realize Cyrus had brought anyone. I am Merle Ambrose, the headmaster of Ravenwood Wizardry Academy. Kakashi Hatake. Naruto's current teacher. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Ah, yes. The lone brooder and the one he once had an interest in. Ambrose thought. If I may ask, how was his schooling back in Konohagakure? Sakura remarked, well, he was annoying, at best. Dead last. Kakashi responded, I actually believe his progress was stunted from the get-go. To most, he could never sit still long enough to actually learn anything in the curriculum. Still, his aim had improved when he got back from an unknown location. Not even the Hokage, whom he had considered a grandfather, knows where he was. Before an owl entered the room, the elderly man scratched his beard and said, I see, Gamma? Someone has entered the old garden belonging to Sylvia Drake. It also appears as though Professor Ballistrom is heading that way as well, the bird replied. In the center of a field, in a garden in the center of the field, encircled by various flowers, was Naruto. The majority of them had never seen the elemental nations before. In contrast, he was on his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Ka-san. Why did you have to go? You still had years. You could have healed yourself. Why? It was an unknown poison, Naruto. A squeaky voice caught his attention. Hal. He went on, I did everything I could to find out who did it. I couldn't find out what was, so I don't know who did it. What about Malair? What happened to him? The frog's head turned slightly as he said, he went into a massive state of grief. He disappeared a year ago, 3 months after she had. Well, he couldn't figure out the poison used. No one knows about the poison but myself, Ambrose, and Cyrus. No one could identify the poison used. Well, when he left, the death school suddenly disappeared from Ravenwood. Before turning to face the ghost on his left shoulder, Naruto glanced down. Why don't you ask Kurama? He knows a thing or two on poisons, he thought. Naruto gave a small nod. The poison, do you have the signature of it? It's not on me, but yes, I do have it. Why? Naruto said, his eyes full of rage, because I might be able to find out what did the deed. When I find out what did it, I should be able to trace it back to the creator, and I will show them what happens when you anger the storm. Hal cautioned, do not lose yourself, Naruto, if you lose control of yourself. Naruto shot back, I know, Hal. And that is the way of a pyromancer. He then developed a savage smile. No, I won't kill them. I'll torture them, I'll make them wish they were dead, but I won't kill them. The grin was genuinely demonic, sending a chill down the frog's non-existent spine. And believe me when I say, I've got a lot I can do. Well, let's get going, shall we? Someone will have to figure it out, and you would have the best chance, I believe. With a determined expression, Naruto nodded and rubbed his eyes. I won't be going into this as just a storm student, though. You planning on going into another school? Naruto gave a nod. Who's the current professor for the life school? That would be Mulinda Wu. Why? Naruto answered, because they're getting a new student. I'm going to learn everything I can through the life school. In honor of Sylvia. She was the closest thing I had to a mother. I owe her that much. Halston gave a nod. Good. If you want, I can take you to her gravestone. We had given her a proper burial, regardless of the circumstances of her death. Naruto nodded in agreement. Thank you. After a few minutes, they arrived at a location in Unicorn Way and approached a random stone that was concealed. Why is it hidden? Inquired Naruto. Because while most liked her, others didn't. We didn't want her grave to be marred. Especially if you ended up coming back. He responded, some didn't believe it when I told them it was more for you than her, so I just told them it was for her peace. Naruto touched the stone and said, thanks. Ka-san. I know it's been a while, but I'm back. I'm sorry I couldn't help you when you needed it most. I will make up for it. I promise you that. And I don't go back on my word. If there's anything you want me to do, anything at all, I'll do what I can. As long as it'll make you happy. I'll be taking up lessons in the life school. An astral figure then materialized in front of him after he sensed a warming presence. It was merely a typical ghost, with no real form. But he did not have to read the form. Ka-san. He nodded and said, Naruto. You came back. What about your home? Sarutobi, the Ichirakus? Naruto sheepishly confessed, I came on a mission. A storm student dropped into my home. Had to help him get back. The figure laughed. That is just like the storm. Pulling off some unpredictable and crazy event. Naruto laughed in return. Yeah. I still hear from the Tritons. On the way back, I was told he ended up there for a reason. There was something I needed to know. Something I needed to do. Do you what it is? Not a clue, she said. I see. So, will the Storm Fox return? Actually, I plan on learning from the life school. Once I found out what happened to you, I thought I should learn it in your honor. Life never seemed your style. I know. But, if it's for you, I'll do it. I don't want to disrespect what you left behind. If I will learn anything, it would be from life. Unless you want me to learn something else. No, life is fine. I'm just surprised, is all. I didn't think you'd get this upset over losing me. Naruto gave a nod. You were always like a mother to me. I figured I should at least learn a bit last time around. This time, I want to learn everything I can. Well then, I think I can help. You remember when I taught you to meditate? Yeah. Why? Naruto nodded and sat in a lotus position. Because I will give you my memories of how to be a Thurgist. Take the class as well. Consider it my last gift for you. His breathing evened out, and he closed his eyes. This may sting a little. Please bear with it. Naruto remained silent in response. He remained in that position for about 2 minutes as a lot of information flooded his mind. Then his eyes opened. I only have one request. My husband has strayed from his path in life. If I were to ask anything of you, please, help him. Set him straight. Even if it means kicking his butt. Naruto gave a nod. Alright, I'll make sure he gets set straight, count on it. Before I go, I have one question. You don't seem the slightest bit dizzy after I gave you the information. Why is that? Naruto laughed. After I got back, I learned something known as the Kage Bunshin. With it, I can use them for extreme training. Everything a Kage Bunshin learns, I learn when they dispel. I'm used to making upwards of 900 for training, and another 50 for reading in the library in one day. Everything you gave me is nothing compared to that. 9 hours of training multiplied by 900 and another 6 hours of reading different subjects multiplied by 50 every day. After a while, I got used to it. After giving a nod, the figure gradually faded. The presence diminished until it vanished. Don't regret my death. It was unavoidable. As a necromancer would say, death comes for all. Most times when they want at least. Ka-san, Sylvia, I'll bring you pride. Malair, Naruto thought, get ready to have your ass kicked into shape. Then Naruto saw that Professor Ballistrom was no longer there. Then he disappeared into the wind with a single handseal. Golem Tower at the foot of a tower stood Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Headmaster Ambrose. Naruto appeared in an electrified whirlwind before he could say, okay, everyone. Since you have chosen your school, I should give you a bit of a test run to see how you fare. Kakashi questioned, Naruto, was that a Shunshin? Kakashi was still wearing his Junin uniform when Naruto turned to face him. Yeah. It also has to deal with the fact I've learned to use storm spells with chakra. I'd suggest learning a spell with mana first, though, it'll make it easier. So, by learning to use spells with chakra, Naruto concluded for him, you increase your manipulation of the elements most relevant to the spell. Ambrose gave Naruto a look. Naruto gave Ambrose a nod and asked, Naruto, Did you go to her garden? Then why weren't you there when I looked? Naruto smiled slightly and said, probably because I had left with Hal to see her grave. And I actually came here to ask something of you. Is it possible for me to transfer to the life school? With your experience in Storm, Naruto acknowledged, the Storm Fox will return, but I'm doing this for her sake. Ambrose's beard was scratched. Yes, I think it's possible. You'll have to see Mulinda Wu, though. A storm quickly moved into the area. Naruto. Naruto glanced around before focusing on the summit of the neighboring tower and said, not me. Is it possible? Ambrose remarked, something is going on in the tower. Come quickly, I will lead you there. Instead of waiting, Naruto hurried through the front door and almost flew to the top. He made it there first, followed shortly by Kakashi, Sasuke, and then Ambrose. It was not noticed that Sakura had arrived. The headmaster was sneered at by the man there, Ambrose. The old man almost hissed, Malair. I should have known you'd return. When Naruto yelled, Major Death, the man paused and turned to face him. Who are you? Naruto yelled, did you really forget the one that looked up to your wife? At him. She wouldn't want you doing this. Who are you to talk about my wife? Naruto Uzumaki, that's who. After hesitating, Malair answered. Although he was aware of the hesitation, Kakashi remained silent, saying, I know. No such person. Take them out. Sakura stiffened as 4 dark brown dragons charged. There's 4 of us, and 4 of them. We'll be doing this arena style. I hope you guys have a proper deck. Everyone gave a nod. Arena engage. They were all in the proper circles, and the floor glowed. Sakura had the eye mark, Sasuke had the star mark, Kakashi had the moon mark, and Naruto had the sun mark in the circle. Alright. Arena style negates all offensive jutsu, but not defensive or enhancement jutsu, nor does it stop one from using chakra. Draw a card from your decks and draw on your mana. The glowing orbs on the ground in front of you are power points, or pips for short. The cards have a number in the top left corner. It tells you how many pips you need to use it. A lot of places around here require you to use pips, and it also takes a certain amount of mana, as well. Sakura, you have more mana than you do chakra. Try to use it more often. Kakashi, you have more chakra than mana. Channel your chakra through the card you draw, and think on the target. Sasuke, you've got more chakra than mana, as well. Make use of it, and I'll help you draw on mana if you can't during this battle. What about you? Asked Kakashi. I can use either. If I had to give off mana in a point system, Sasuke would have 102. Sakura would have 181. Sensei, you'd have 201. I have 498 max mana. Since I can also use chakra, by converting chakra into mana, I would have well over 2 million mana and chakra total to use in spells. 498 of those points is straight mana. The rest is chakra. Naruto said, prior to activating an electrical wall to thwart the Thunder Snake. Let's do this. With 3 normal piplets and 2 golden piplets, Naruto took out his staff and swung it a few times. However, only 2 of them were normal. A treasure card was produced by Naruto. The storm was a rank 4. Kraken. Alright. Naruto used the spell, and an island with a dark blue scaled creature on top of it materialized in the center of the arena floor. A yellow lightning bolt then materialized in its hand and struck a single draconian. A regular one was added, and only the 2 power pips remained on his board. Sakura exclaimed, You just killed it in one hit? Be glad I didn't go for a more powerful one, much less my own original spell. I don't use it in arena rule fights, said Naruto. Original spell? Inquired Kakashi. I'll explain it later. Cast a fucking spell. Sakura discovered a level 3 myth spell when she drew a card. She realized she had the correct pips. She used the spell, killing her target but seriously injuring it. Naruto acknowledged, no surprise the Cyclops didn't kill it, Sasuke. Sakura's target was hit by a banshee that entered the center, HN. He also had 6 piplets, but only one of them was golden, Kakashi realized. Naruto, what's the golden pip? Naruto's eyes widened as he glanced at his board. The golden pip is a power pip. It counts as 2 normal pips when using a spell in your school of focus. For me, that is, and always has been, Storm. Kakashi unleashed a high level spell and took out a treasure card. A wyvern emerged and a glacier appeared. With a smile on his face, Kakashi removed the target. Naruto said, one-shot the idiot. You fools, yelled Malair. Then, as he took out another surprise card from his deck case, Naruto used it to cast 2 high-level attack spells on the remaining 2. Naruto was hardly impacted, but one used Blizzard and dealt them all a lot of damage. Kakashi was taken aback when the other called forth a giant frog, recalling Jiraiya at that precise moment. It further damaged them all by barfing on them. He forced a smile as he looked at the new card. Sylvia, this is for you. He lost 3 pip points and managed to channel just enough mana to make it work. On his side, a unicorn materialized and restored everything. Sakura anticipated that and nodded. Sasuke grinned. Kakashi just gave Naruto a thank you glance. All he did was raise a thumb. You idiots. You let the whelps heal. The Draconians didn't have much choice, since they only had 1 pip at the time. Then he drew another card, but this time it was a standard blue. Since it was a rank 0 spell, he cast it without worrying about the mana required, saying, hey. Thank you footgear of malediction. Around Sakura's target, a spiked shield floated. Sakura, cast a spell on your previous target. I placed hex on him. Right. Dodge it you fools. Naruto arched an eyebrow and asked, did you forget arena rules, Malair? They can't dodge a spell. If they leave the circle they're in, they go into a coma, and then get hit anyway. Knowing that he was correct, Malair just snarled at that. When Sakura called forth a troll, it attacked the Draconian and killed it. Sasuke. He brought out what appeared to be a tropical island with a skeleton pirate on it using 3 pips and a power pip. Naruto was aware of the spell's rank and observed the pip usage. Sasuke went death. No surprise. As the field faded, Naruto charged Malair after the last Draconian was defeated. He disappeared before he could get to him. Using a teleportation spell, his body completely disappeared after saying, I already have what I came for, old man. Farewell. Naruto snarled. I'm coming for you, Malair. On my honor and pride. I will get you back to normal. His elongated fingernails caught the attention of the others. At that moment, Kakashi observed the Kyuubi's chakra being used. He appeared to relax, and his fingernails returned to their typical size. He gave Ambrose a look. He will be back. Count on it. Naruto, did you? Naruto informed him, no, it wasn't the chakra. I know the name of my true mother thanks to him. Just know that he didn't want to attack at first, and leave it at that. Kakashi remained concerned, and Ambrose gave a nod. How is Kurama, anyway? Inquired the elderly man. Naruto said, pretty good, actually. Naruto's expression darkened as he said, he's also pissed at Malair for going insane after she died. He raised his head as he felt the storm subside. I got a message from her. Bring Malair back to his true path. I gave her my word, and I'll do just that. It's also why I plan to transfer to life. For her, and for him. The storm is letting up. We should head back outside. Ambrose gave a nod of approval. So, I believe you all have a good idea on how to use mana, now? Kakashi and Sasuke both nodded. Sakura let out a sigh. Naruto's eyes grew wide as he said, I didn't use chakra at all in that fight. Seriously? What? Is that a problem? Sakura, what school are you going into? Myth. Professor Cyrus managed to explain mana to me before this happened. Once I found it, I used it with ease. It's like I'm more suited for mana than chakra. As a kunoichi, you'll need chakra and a good control of it. While you're working on spells, I'd suggest training yourself physically. After you've mastered a spell, trying using it with chakra using the same ease as you would mana. That's what I did with Storm, and it's what I intend to do with Life as well. Well, if time permits, I'd go into Life second. It was almost as high as Myth for me. Naruto gave that a nod. Sasuke, Death primary. I find it comforting. If you could go for a second school. Fire, no contest. I'm Balance primary, oddly enough. I was half expecting Ice, but that came in second. Kakashi made the point. Death was third best, but I have potential in all of them. Naruto nodded while humming. Headmaster, is my old castle still around? Ambrose answered, it hasn't been touched, why? Then you'll only have to provide a room for Sakura. Kakashi and Sasuke will be able to stay at my castle. Seriously, though. I've got a lot of space to use, sadly enough. After giving it some thought, Ambrose nodded. I'll have to work on getting a dorm room for her, then. Are you sure you have enough space for the 3 of you? I've actually got 2 castles ready, but I think the second one would be better for me. I mean, I bought a castle when I was in Marylebone and even bought a property from Zeke last time around. Stormhouse, I think it was. I kinda liked that one, and even used it for private training. Couldn't access the spiral from there, though. So, I'll stick with the villa, and show them around. That one I know can access the spiral. Naruto clarified. We're set. Then why not just give her one, and you males take the other? Because I don't think she'll be good in the storm house, and the other place is too big for her alone. Naruto made the point. Besides, I'm not sure if she'd like the damage of the storm house, or the fact that she probably wouldn't be able to sleep due to the constant storms. Sasuke asked. Then how could you sleep? Naruto gave a headshake. Better than I do in the village. A lot better. Besides, the last 4 years I hid on October 10th. You wanna know where I went? Kakashi's eye appeared to widen in recognition. That's why we couldn't find you. Exactly. It's my yearly day of rest, though I also try to train while I'm there. I can really let loose in my training there, to be honest. Acknowledged Naruto. Kakashi gave nod. Well, that explains your unexplained disappearances. The Hokage would like to know about that. Let's see. That property is in my name, and registered to me in Wizard City in Marylebone, so they can't take it from me without having two powerful forces that could probably take out Konohagakure before they can do much about it on their tails for theft. Why the hell not? Naruto sighed. After making a few hand gestures and drawing blood from his thumb, a puff of smoke materialized. Ambrose questioned, was that supposed to do something? Kakashi paused to reflect. Naruto, is it possible to use spells in Konohagakure? Could it be? Of course, though for me it's because I can draw on mana a lot easier than I can chakra. Then again, I have a lot more chakra than mana. Why? Kakashi noted, because the summoning jutsu doesn't work here. Naruto paused to reflect. It's a space-time jutsu, right? A smile. It could be that it's only aligned with our world, so until it connects to the spiral. Kakashi realized. Summoning jutsu won't work until the connection is made and stabilized. Naruto gave a shrug. He shook his head and said, that's my theory, anyway. Anyway, I'll head over to Ravenwood. I've got classes to start. I'm going to give 990% for these classes. 990%? Inquired Sakura. I think he means what others would call 110%, Sasuke said. Naruto said, no, I mean 9 bunshin at 110% for normal people. He then teleported away, enclosing his surroundings with the storm symbol. All the others did was look at him. Kakashi, I believe you would know of why that Kage Bunshin can do anything for his classes. Care to explain? Kakashi gave nod. He means he's going to take the classes 9 or 10 times each, at the same time. I am sorry, but I do not know why that would be. A Kage Bunshin is a solid clone. Its original purpose for scouting and information gathering. The memories pass on to the user when they dispel. And the fact that he can create over 1,000 of them. He could learn any spell in a day. Kakashi said, he could make a spell in a week. I know for a fact that he could probably make a jutsu in a week if he knew what he needed. Most times it would take at least 3 years to create a new jutsu. It's rare for a jutsu to be created that quickly, though. Ambrose noted, he made a rank 10 storm spell in 3 days the last time around. Even my own original spells took me months to finish. He's still the only one able to use that spell. Kakashi inquired, what is it called? It's how he got his reputation around here. He's called the Storm Fox. Now, I myself have never seen it, as he hasn't used it in Wizard City, nor has he used it in an arena battle to my knowledge. Some say he can just use it and start talking to the essence of the spell, as if. Kakashi went on, as if it wasn't just a normal spell. Maybe it's how he uses it, and it's not like other spells. Another method. Could be why. Sakura and Sasuke exchanged glances before turning to face the bewildered older men. Then Ambrose turned to face them. As they exited the tower, he gave them instructions, saying, well, since you are all registered, I believe I should direct you to Ravenwood, and have you met with your teachers? Sasuke, I would search out Malair and Ashthorn. He has been helping teach new death students, but ever since the death school had been torn from Ravenwood, most have been self-taught, for the most part. After a week of instruction from Mulinda Wu, Naruto was able to memorize the every life spell theory and could recite it verbatim at the drop of a hat. All you need now is to practice them. I'm actually surprised at how fast you were learning, she acknowledged. Naruto gave a nod. Well, that's what happens when you get the information from the best, and then learn the stuff. Thank you. She received a nod when she said, you already knew about all this? I knew the material and the source, yes, but I had very little information on the spells themselves. Naruto sighed. Any way I look at it, I needed actual instruction to actually use the spells. Professor Wu gave a nod. I see. You can only learn through experience. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Naruto gave a nod. I have to go see Professor Ballistrom about something. I told him I would help him out with something, but I was planning to wait until I got actual instruction in Sylvia's school of choice. Well, you shouldn't keep him waiting. I enjoyed your time in this classroom. You are not like Halston told me you'd be, though. Well, that's because, though Storm is my primary, I needed to take life seriously. I can't learn anything else from the Storm School in Ravenwood. Naruto made the point. At the same time, I'm not planning on taking the mantle of professor, since I can't stick around for longer than I have to. Besides, I'm kind of stuck here. Well, good luck, Naruto. I believe you'll need it. Sakura entered as Naruto was about to leave. Naruto? Sakura. What's up? Oh. Professor Drake told me I could start in another school if I wished, just needed me back in his classroom in 4 days. I can already conjure a troll guardian. He's already been impressed at my proficiency in myth. Well, since I had already finished off the theory part of life, all that's left for me is to experience it. And I'll need a lot of it to get life down. Said Naruto. I intend to have life as just as good a partner as Storm is. Mulinda Wu said, oh, I might call you back sometime. If I do, I'll try to make it worth your while. Before leaving the school, Naruto paused beside Sakura and said, don't worry. I actually like helping others. Knowledge of the body is the most helpful in life. She nodded when she heard that. Storm School. When Naruto entered, he saw Professor Ballistrom rummaging through documents on his desk. It was stupid paperwork, he complained. Naruto attracted the frog's attention by saying, hey, Hal. The frog said, ah, Naruto. I was wondering how long it would take you. So, you want the documents of what was used? Naruto gave a nod. After leaping from the desk, the frog moved to a pedestal and opened it to reveal a compartment underneath. He pulled out a small box and gave it to Naruto. Halston said regretfully, the documents and what we found out is in here. I hope you have better luck than we did. Naruto took the box and remarked, hey, I've got a fox a few centuries old in my gut. If I can't find it on my own, he should know. Halston acknowledged, we can't be sure, but really, I hope you find out what it was. We need some kind of closure. After giving a nod, Naruto teleported away, the castle of Naruto. Naruto appeared in front of his residence. Consider the Marlebone version of Royal Estate. He proceeded to the steps on one side before entering through the front. There were shields on the walls, plaques, and other storm-related items all over the interior. He ascended the first flight of stairs and discovered a second descent that led to a basement with cobblestones. The basement was not too complicated. A desk, 2 crafting tables, and what appeared to be a polished broadsword hanging on the wall were all contained within. Directly beneath the broadsword was a lance. With 2 points next to each other on one end, the lance appeared unique. If you looked closely, you could see that one of the blades had wind around it, and the other occasionally had lightning streaks around it. A picture of an electrified Kyuubi no Kitsune with a smile on its face and only blue and golden yellow fur was also present. He approached the desk, put the box down, and then took out its contents. The writing was readable despite the paper's slight wear. He began looking through it in an attempt to learn as much as he could. Before Kakashi came in and approached Naruto, he had been working there for 2 hours. Kakashi went down to the basement, where he was still, and looked at the decorations. Hey, sensei. Kakashi remarked, Naruto, from what I know you don't do homework. Without even glancing at the scarecrow, Naruto retorted, well, this isn't homework. Kakashi approached the desk and looked at it. Then he immediately recognized a symbol that he saw. He asked gravely, Naruto, where did you get these records? The blonde gave him a look at this. This is all that is known regarding Sylvia's death. I'm trying to figure out what kind of poison took her. Kakashi noted, it wasn't just a poison. Then Naruto realized he was staring at the mark. The mark has something to do with it? Kakashi gave nod. Naruto frozen when he heard, what's more is, there's a Junin that bears a similar one in Konohagakure. Who placed it, and on whom? As to who has it, that would be Anko Midarashi. She's an outcast, to be honest. I tried to show her some respect, but the reputation she made for herself makes it kind of hard to even approach her. Kakashi clarified. It has a 9 in 10 death rate. Anko was lucky she survived. And who placed it on her? His name is Orochimaru. He's one of the Sannin, the Snake Sannin, to be exact. The fists clenched in Naruto's hands. I see. Put revenge out of your mind, Naruto. Naruto shot back, I'm no match for him, I know. but that won't stop me from creating something to counter it, or prevent its application in the first place. Not even Jiraiya, the village's best seal master, has been able to figure out how to do that, or get rid of it. Kakashi made the point. I don't believe you have enough sealing knowledge to pull it off. Naruto grinned. His grin grew a little wider as he said, that's what the Kyuubi is for. And I've also got a few other allies to help me out. I'll figure it out. Kakashi gave a headshake. You can't rely on knowledge that it may not share. He's been really forthcoming so far. Besides, I'm his third Jinchuriki. The first and second were seal masters as well, and the second one is my mother. Still don't know who my father is, but if I had to go by genetics, it's probably the Yondaime, and Gigi kept it secret for some time, probably to minimize the damage to me. Kakashi gave nod. I'll have to ask the Hokage when we get back, but no guarantees. Sensei had a girlfriend, but really, I thought they were married. When his girlfriend had gone missing for a few months. Well, I can't say much on that, because when she went missing, she never came back, but was reported dead for some reason. Never found out what it was, sadly. What was her name? Kakashi's eyes grew wide as he said, Kushina Uzumaki. Oh shit. When Naruto said, my mother, his eyes grew wide. Kakashi let out a sigh. I'm really going to have to talk to the Hokage about this. Keeping Sensei's son a secret. I'm gonna hurt him. As Naruto acknowledged, don't bother. I'll claim my mother's heritage when we get back. I'll leave my father's alone. At least for now. Do you know how long it will take to get us back? Headmaster Ambrose has to find the right door, though I'd wager Gamma's the one doing it. Once found, it has to be connected. Until that connection is made, the space time continuum there and the one here won't be synchronized, so it's anyone's guess as to how long it'll take on their end. It could be hours, days, weeks, months, hell it could take centuries. There's no way to tell for sure. Kakashi let out a sigh. I can teach you some of your father's jutsu, but it'll take a bit. Your control of your chakra will need to increase. You'd do that, on the condition that you don't use them until you reach the Chunin exams, Kakashi said. Naruto gave a nod. Deal. Though Fuinjutsu will be needed before that, and I've already learned a lot from Kurama. So, who should know who did this to Sylvia? Headmaster Ambrose, Professor Cyrus Drake, and Professor Halston Ballastrom. They already know that it was a type of poisoning. You know more about the method than I do. Though I figure the chakra poisoned her mind and mana, thus killing her. At the end, Kakashi gave a nod. Naruto nodded, then created a Kage Bunshin and had it activate his Fuinjutsu before he and Kakashi left the basement and entered the living room. That's how most of them die. After that, Naruto made 500 Kage Bunshin outside. 50 of you practice the life spells. We'll need to be ready for anything. Right, 50 of you work on the point balancing exercise. Yes sir, Kakashi interrupted, 100 of you. If you don't mind. Kakashi was examined in the original. He pulled out a small piece of paper and said, I've got a few things you can do here, such as some jutsu I believe may come in handy later. But first, channel chakra into this. It'll help us get started. When Naruto did that, it accomplished multiple tasks. It was first torn to pieces. Some bits crinkled, some turned to dust, some damped, some gave off an electromagnetic field, some turned to ashes, and the final one just turned green. The fewest went green and turned to dust, for a combined total of about 8%. I've got to admit, that was unexpected. All 5 primary elements, and what I believe to be 2 secondary elements. The bits with a slight electromagnetic field is my storm element. It's for when I use chakra in my storm spells. Said Naruto. It gave off the same feeling. And the other one? Not sure. But given your mother, it's possible to be Mokuton. There's also Ranton, but those are unique to Kumogakure. I can't help in you either one, but I do know someone who can help in Mokuton. I'll train your primary elements, and then have you learn the jutsu. Kakashi glanced at the clone. Alright, 200 of you pick a spot on the water, and create a whirlpool using chakra only. No moving the water with your hands. After giving a nod, they all started working. Alright, the last 200 will have to. All but 10. Naruto interrupted Kakashi, raising an eyebrow. I'll need those 10 for something else. 10 of you come with me. The rest go with whatever Kakashi Sensei wants you to do. Yes sir. 10 of them splintered. Naruto led the 10 away from the groups and proceeded to a building's roof that had a greenhouse on top. Naruto faced the 10 clones as they all entered the greenhouse. Alright, we're going to do something radically different. We are going to work on making a summoning contract. One of them questioned, what kind of contract? I mean there's bound to a fox contract, and that would be the biggest fuck you for the village. The first Naruto grinned. You all remember the legends of the giants, titans, and dragons, right? They were all nodding. Well, we're going to make one for the titans, and tie in all of the storm spell summons. I plan on making one for life and death schools as well. The clones gave a startled nod. Sakura would be getting life. An additional clone added, and Sasuke gets death. The original said, bingo. First we're going to make storm, and make sure it works. After nodding, the clones began creating the seal that was required to accomplish this. Once they got going, the original teleported out and found themselves on a stormy island with metal sections. The rain, sporadic thunderclaps, lightning strikes, distant tornadoes that never really approached the island, or even the raging waters didn't bother him. This is the storm house. The waters couldn't reach it because of the height of the cliffs. He walked into the nearby field and began working out, doing 800 push-ups, 800 sit-ups, 1500 squats, 2000 jumping jacks, and 50 laps around the island near the cliff. He actually grinned at the place and liked the way it felt. Since he had created so many shadow clones, he was worn out from all of those exercises. He simply wandered into the nearby building, found the bed, ignored the other decorations, and passed out without a fight. The clones training under Kakashi and the one he left in the basement working on a countermeasure in case Orochimaru uses the seal on him or anyone else close to him were dispelled an hour after he passed out. After continuing through the night for some time, the others eventually dispelled 3 hours later, at midnight. Since he was already asleep, the information assimilated a lot faster and more organized. 2 days later, the office of the headmaster 300 Kage Bunshin was left by Naruto to complete the exercises that Kakashi had given him. Headmaster, did you hear from Kakashi? Sensei? He inquired. The elderly man answered, yes, and what I heard isn't exactly pleasant. You're not going to go after him, are you? Not yet. I'm nowhere near strong enough to take him on and live, much less win, replied Naruto. No, I'll work on my promise to Sylvia first. Malair has to be brought back to his senses, and then we'll finalize the way back. I have to keep my promise to Sylvia. Whatever happens, I will get him back. About that, I'm surprised he didn't recognize you, or even your name. Naruto gave a nod. I agree. That is strange. I'll be doing what I can here, but I need battle experience with life. I have the knowledge and information, but nothing else. Do you know if there's any other students that could use some help at the moment? Come to think of it, I remember Karen Nightshade on Unicorn Way talking about weird things happening on Unicorn Way. Perhaps you could ask him about it. Help out, too. Naruto gave a nod. Alright, I'll look for him. Before you do, here. Ambrose produced a hold box. This came in from a place known as Grizzleheim. It was addressed to the Storm Fox, so I'm assuming it's yours. Naruto took a few sniffs while examining the box. A dead fox? Hold on, ozone surrounds it. Is it possible? According to the spirit on his shoulder, maybe, Naruto. Maybe it is. When Naruto opened it, he discovered a dead fox that was oddly preserved. Not even close to decay, and there was a note. Fox Storm. This small creature was discovered outside of Northgard. We think you could be of assistance. Hopefully, you can assist it before it completely fades away because it is on its deathbed. Hopefully you know what's wrong with it, but we don't. With a signature, Gold Paws of Balder. After glancing at the fox, Naruto prepared to establish a connection with Kurama. No need. This kid is already dead. Kurama. What do you mean? She still seems alive to me. Even though Naruto wasn't focusing on the fox inside of him, he could see that Kurama's eyes were wide as he had just come to a realization. Because, Kit, she has no soul to maintain. The Karen? Naruto inquired. If you can link her spirit with the dead fox, she would be physically present, and you'd have a personal companion. Genius. Naruto glanced at his shoulder's spirit. Karen, try to link yourself with the kid. You're the only hope she's got. Who is this Karen? Ambrose asked. Naruto nodded to the spirit, who then attempted to enter the kid's body and said, Headmaster, I'll try to explain it later. The tiny kid stirred slightly and then opened her eyes. Karen? Naruto smiled broadly at the nod. It worked? Naruto exclaimed as he danced while holding the storm fox. Ahem. Naruto took notice of this. Now, would you like to explain what you just did? Well, for starters, Storm Kyuubi is just a modification of an old storm summoning beast. It was originally called Storm Fox, and they were rare, even in their prime. Karen was merely a spirit that I had found last time I was here. No one could ever see her, much less talk to her, aside from me. I've been working on a way to give her a physical body without having to summon her. After giving it some thought, Ambrose nodded, realizing why. And you did just that by having her go into the dead fox. Almost dead fox, but yeah. That's what we did. It'll take a bit, but she'll be fine. We just have to get the body back in shape, and she'll be able to travel for some time. I'll be using my stormhouse for her while a cage Bunshin watches over her. Naruto glanced at the fox. I've got other things to do, and you know that, but I don't want to leave you alone while your new body is in this state. Naruto nodded as the fox said in his head, it's fine, Naruto. You have things to do. I'll be fine with a cage Bunshin. Thanks for agreeing with me. Karina yawned, and Naruto picked her up, nodded to Ambrose, teleported out, made a cage Bunshin, and then teleported back. Hey, it's the first time I've had a body in a long time. I kind of need the rest. After leaving, he encountered someone he hadn't anticipated seeing. It was a woman wearing a hooded robe in black and gray. He saw that she was carrying a standard dark gray wand and a small book under her arm. He knew when their eyes locked. He recognized the person. It was impossible to replicate or replace those eyes. They approached one another and came to a stop roughly 6 inches apart. Penny, he murmured, hope shining in his eyes. Naru. Too. She exhaled and said. Her eyes were watering and her voice was on the verge of breaking, is it really you? Slowly, he nodded. I'm he. He began, but stopped short as she glomped him while sobbing uncontrollably. He just embraced her softly. Before Sasuke approached him, they remained in that position for approximately 5 minutes. Naruto. He said, pausing when he saw the glare directed at him. Well, what gives? After examining the girl, who was clearly wearing the colors of the death school, he said, he never glares at his team, and he hasn't sent a glare my way since we got here, and even before that it never got this bad. Then he mouthed, who is she? Naruto mouthed back, a friend. Death student? Most likely. Last time you were here. Naruto mouthed the words, Marlebone, could not say goodbye. After giving a nod, Sasuke turned to leave and left. She needed 2 more minutes to settle down and dry her eyes. Why? Naruto gazed into her red eyes. She nodded, tears still welling up in her eyes. Why didn't I say goodbye? I found what I was looking for, but I couldn't get out in time for it to activate. You weren't there. I couldn't say goodbye. And if there's one thing I regret, it's not being able to say goodbye to you. It's the only thing I truly regret. If had known Cage Bunshin at the time, I would have been able to tell you, but I didn't, so I couldn't be in 2 places at once, and I wasn't fast enough. Sorry will never get rid of the regret or the pain of never being able to say goodbye. She gave a headshake. With her eyes still full, she said, I'm just glad you're here now. She buried her head in Naruto's neck after he nodded. Soon after, they parted ways and grinned as they gazed at one another. Without realizing that Kakashi was observing them both, Naruto smiled. Hey, he used to be an Anbu. He is capable of doing that. This is becoming fascinating. This is where he has a girlfriend. This makes for excellent conversation starters later on. After a long period of conversation, Naruto told Penny that he had to go talk to someone on Unicorn Way and described Sasuke. Sasuke is a death student himself. He should be able to help you. Just remember what I told you before I left, he replied. She responded, now in a positive frame of mind, hard work can always beat a prodigy. Naruto gave a nod. And the genius versus prodigy? Penny smiled and said, most fall in one or the other, but very few are both. He now had her undivided attention. Okay, here are 2 more things you should know. Take them to heart, like I did. The first thing. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. You understand? After giving it some thought, she nodded. If it comes down to breaking the rules, or ignoring a friend, then better to break the rules than ignore the friend, right? He smiled as he nodded. While concealed, Kakashi grinned at his pupil and said, that's right. Then his expression darkened slightly. The other one I learned from a friend that gave his life for his views, which I took up. It was this. True strength comes from protecting that which is precious to you. She understood that completely and nodded. I know, it's hard to know who's really with you, but family is always there, annoying or not, they are precious to you. My parents see you as a son, after all. Your family. Naruto gave her a gentle smile. Thanks. Then Penny paused to reflect. My parents told me that Malair was a great teacher, and I'd enjoy his classes, but I haven't seen him around. Then Naruto's expression hardened. He lost his way. The death school was torn from Ravenwood. His wife is dead. It's my job to get him back to his rightful path of life. It was why the Titans wanted me to get back here, and sent a storm student to my world so he could find me and get me back. His expression softened. Personally, I blame Triton for bringing me back, but I actually like the fact that he did. I got to see you again, after all. She laughed. Thanks. He took out a couple of photos and said, you should get going. I'm not sure if your registration has been processed, but if it hasn't. This is the registrar. His name is Mr. Lincoln. I talked to him if you aren't registered for classes. He's also the person to talk to see if you have a dorm room ready. He pointed to a different one. This is Headmaster Ambrose. He could tell you what's what around here, or if you have a request, try to get it to him. Then he gestured to another image. One of his genin team was involved. This is my team back home. I became a shinobi, after all. The one with silver hair is Kakashi Hitaki. He's my Junin sensei. The girl with pink hair is Sakura Haruno. She's more temperamental than your mother during her time of the month. I remember being on the receiving end of that. Penny said, that was not cool, you got hurt that day. Well, I was good the next day. I found out then that I always healed extremely quickly. I heal in hours, not weeks. Days, not months, and weeks instead of years. Naruto made the point. It helps out in physical training, you know? True as that is, I don't want you getting hurt. Naruto noted, it's a given with my chosen profession. My increased healing factor just means that I'll live longer. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can survive a mortal wound if left alone. Only instant kill hits would likely kill me for good. Her concern was evident as she asked, but wouldn't they hurt? Penny, I've gone through worse for hours on end all throughout my life. I'm pretty sure that losing a lung would hurt like hell, though. Naruto paused for a moment. He tapped his chin several times before recalling a few more. I mean, I've been gutted, slashed, beaten, poisoned, stabbed, burned with fire, fried with lightning, he said. I once lost a finger and a toe. Now those hurt. But you still have the same amount as any other human. Naruto clarified, it's because of my healing factor. He extended his right hand and said, I got them both back within 3 days, and they were usable the next day. I lost my ring finger that day, along with my left big toe. Both were usable and completely synchronized with my actual body on the 4th day. That's crazy. She heard Naruto say, actually, it's just insane. But at least I can guarantee that it's true. Tragically, she nodded. Please, don't let yourself get hurt because of me. Naruto gave her a smile. No promises there. I do that in a heartbeat, and you know it. With concern, she stated, that's what I'm afraid of, I know, Penny, but it's who I am. I cherish every friend I have, because one day, they might have to go. If I'm fighting alongside my friends, I do my best to make sure that if one of them goes out, I'm already down and out. You know me well enough to know that I would. She repeated, I just don't want you to get hurt. You've said that like 4 times already. The least you can do is train yourself so I don't have to do that for you. Naruto made the point. She nodded enthusiastically as her eyes grew wide. Well then, hopped it. I've got a job to take care of, and I figure it should be done quickly. The faster I get it done, the sooner we get together again. She gave him a nod and released him. Okay, I'll go see what I need, later, she exclaimed as she escaped. Naruto gave her a smile. After turning around, he saw Kakashi and said, yeah, later. He almost yelled, damn it sensei. How long were you watching me? He shrugged and said, Sasuke was leaving you too. You did some good with her, you know? She's a friend. A close one, at that. And what about Sakura? Naruto shrugged and said, too much like Penny's mother. Besides, she's just like my mother, from what Kyuubi tells me. Strong, defensive of something on her head, feisty, stubborn in her views. Kakashi paused to reflect. That's true. Hey. That would explain why you always asked her out. Actually, I see Sakura as more of a sister than a girlfriend, or even a potential lover, said Naruto. Penny would be my choice if I could. That's one of the reasons I want the spiral connected to our world so badly. So I can see her, and she can come visit, or we could even stay there. Actually, I think a different idea is at hand. I know of your treatment in the village, so I think we should keep the connection much more secret. If you ever get banished or exiled, you come here, and we don't use the door. There are no keys to activate it, and you're the only known one in the elemental nations that can force activate it. You do that, and then use the key, and you'll be safe for good. No one will be able to follow you except for those in the loop. Naruto gave a nod. That would be my plan, too. The council will do anything to keep me in once they realize I can use Ranton and Mokuton. It's actually why I hadn't used spells after I got back. Doesn't mean I never stopped practicing them. After Kakashi gave a nod, Naruto simply left. I'm gonna see what I can do on Unicorn Way. If something comes up, I'll do what I can to fix it. You've got more training tomorrow. Your target is Orochimaru, isn't it? Naruto gave a two-finger salute over his shoulder and remarked, I doubt it will take more than a day, but it'll have to be in 4 days, just to be on the safe side, later. Soon after, he lost sight, made his way to Unicorn Way, and attempted to detect a mana presence. After obtaining a lock, he located the person he was seeking. Directly in front of him was a young man as Naruto squatted on top of a gazebo. He asked, Are you Karen Nightshant? And the boy gave him a startled look. He answered, Why? Yes. How did you get there? Simple, I jumped. He shot back, No one can jump that high. I can, a new myth student can, an older ice student can, and a new death student can. Where I come from, jumping from street level to the roof of a 4-story building is commonplace. Naruto sighed. He leapt down and landed in front of the poor child, saying, Anyway, the headmaster said that some strange things have been happening here, and you were the one to talk to. I'm here to help. So you know I can punch a ghoul's head clear off its shoulders, if I want. Did just that a few years ago. I can kick the head off of a troll, done that too. You're insane. Naruto grinned and said, No, I'm just a storm student. He let out a sigh. That explains a lot. So, how far are you? Nearly mastered storm, working towards life. Karen grinned as he heard this. This is gonna be good. Alright, I'll fill you in. I'm not good combat-wise. Before we see a dark fairy, we find Naruto strolling along Unicorn Way. Without taking his staff out, he quickly cast a spell. Leprechaun was a rank 2 life spell. Before the dark fairy collapsed into magical wisps, the leprechaun removed his hat and threw numerous gold coins at it. With a sigh, he picked up the dust and looked it over. Corruption. However, that would entail. His eyes grew wide. I need to discuss this with Lady Oriel. He created a cage bunchen, which left to visit Karen. For the other wizards, but not for himself, he ran down the street at a fast pace. He soon arrived at a little hedge maze where a seraph was near the center, caring for the local sprites. Naruto said, Lady Oriel, we have a problem. The seraph glanced at Naruto and said, Oh, Naruto. What's wrong? Before the memories of his cage bunchen struck, Naruto said, There are some corrupted sprites out there. There doesn't seem to be a way to reverse it, though I could probably figure one out with some time, and I don't really want to kill them. His eyes widened before he turned his head. Karen, you're a genius. Karen? He's a life student that had a gut feeling something was wrong here on Unicorn Way. He was right, but didn't know how severe it was until now. Lucky for us he already has a potion recipe, one I didn't know existed, to be honest. Acknowledged Naruto. It's your call, Lady Oriel. They're your allies. It's your choice. The seraph frowned slightly and said, Please, save them. Don't kill them unless you have no other choice. I know how you can get. Naruto gave a nod. Ignoring the jab at my personality, I'll try not to kill them. May not know a lot of non-lethal spells. But I do know a few jutsu that could help. Jutsu? She was perplexed now. It's what we use where I'm from. Currently trying to get my world connected to the spiral, since it wasn't beforehand. Naruto replied. They don't use mana, to my knowledge, but a combination of physical and spiritual energies in the body, called chakra. She nodded as she said, You can explain it later, if you wish. Please, save my brethren. Then, in a whirl of wind and lightning, he departed. That was new. It took Naruto 5 minutes to get what he needed to make the potion, and gave it to Karen, while making a few cage bunchen to release the sprites from bone cages he saw. Karen saw all the ingredients, impressed, since he only asked for 2 of them. I gotta admit I'm impressed. I only asked for dust and skeleton carpals. Naruto gave a shrug. Can you make enough of it? Karen worked a little inside the gazebo while Naruto observed with an expert eye, saying, Sure I can. They only need 1 drop. 3 minutes later, Karen said something. It's done. They only need to swallow 2 drops, and you brought enough for at least 500 of them. Naruto gave a nod. Thanks man. I owe you one. Then call us even. I was gonna need help for this anyway. Besides, you were the first to believe I was right. Before he fled, Naruto remarked, For the record, the headmaster thought so too. But the boy was profoundly affected by what he said. Did Headmaster Ambrose hear me correctly? It isn't possible. Still, a cage bunchen was on his way to Ambrose's office. His cage Bunshin were training in his house, releasing the sprites that had been captured, and sending out messages while Naruto stunned the dark fairies. In the headmaster's office when a Naruto clone entered the room, Sasuke was leaning against the wall next to Penny, who was conversing with the headmaster. "Headmaster, remember what you said about Unicorn Way might have a few problems?" Naruto then clarified the situation, saying, "Oh, Naruto. Yes, I do remember that. Why do you ask?" "I see." Sasuke asked, "Then why are you here, Dobi?" And Penny, who understood the meaning of the word, gave him a slight frown. The clone just gave his head a quick rub. "Boss ain't actually here right now. He's trying to force feed the potion to the corrupted sprites." Sasuke just gave a nod. "How many cage Bunshin are out?" Naruto answered, "About 80, not including the ones back at the estate training." Sasuke nodded once more. Naruto?" began Penny. "Yeah, Penny. Why you?" Naruto blinked. "Well, why not me? Boss can handle this one with ease. It's just that he's trying not to kill them, due to Lady Oriel's request." "Oh, and Sasuke?" "What? Until the connection is made we won't be going back. Just learn what you can, but don't do anything stupid. Use this time to think on what's going on." Sasuke shrugged and then showed his Sharingan 2 Tomo in each eye. "I've already passed Malair, so I'm basically on my own for the time being. Besides, once I mastered using Vampire, I had upgraded my Sharingan." Naruto gave a nod. "So you know I'm working on 3 shinobi summoning contracts. They're going to be for you, me, and Sakura, though I'm going to sign the one for Sakura as well. Hopefully they'll be ready before we go back." Sasuke became curious and asked, "What do you plan on making mine for?" "Death." Naruto answered, then winked at Penny, who blushed a little, and walked away. Sasuke's eyes widened as it took a few seconds for the reality to set in. Curious, Ambrose inquired, "What did he mean by having a death contract?" "Penny dreadful. You're learning everything I can teach you." She noted, "I'm already learning most of my death spells from you." Her eyes widened as she said, "Unless." The girl gave him a quick nod when he said, "I'm going to teach you how to use chakra. You're signing the same contract I am. All right. Let's go." After Sasuke gave a nod, the two left. Ambrose merely gave his beard a scratch. That was weird. Then again, knowing Naruto, I'm pretty sure whatever plan he is coming up with will be insane, but it will work regardless. With Naruto the original, the 251st Dark Fairy, like the other 250, convulsed after he poured some of the potion down her throat. After apologizing quickly for almost strangling her, he explained that it was necessary and hurried to find more. After finding no more cages, some of his cage Bunshin began eliminating the local skeletons. A clone returned to Karen after the street was free of skeletons and the fairies that had been captured were set free. Naruto explained what a sprite had told him after he was freed, saying, "Dude, we seem to have a bit of trouble." They mentioned a skeleton. "Rattlebones. It's got to be Rattlebones. He's more powerful than most of things that appeared on the street. But if we get rid of him..." Naruto caught the idea and went on, "We get rid of the source. I'm guessing he's been staying in a tower, since we've taken out almost all of the skeletons here." Startled, Karen said, "Yeah, he would be." "Wait, we? I thought you were working this alone." "I am." "Then why the we?" Another clone appeared after Naruto made the right-hand sign. He sounded slightly amused as he said, "Karen meet Cage Bunshin." "Cage Bunshin, Karen Nightshant." Cage Bunshin. Despite the obvious bewilderment, the outstretched hand was taken, and the grip startled. "How many of these things are running around?" The first clone stated, "Around 75 on the entire street. Plus the original, who the clones call Boss." "Yeah, Boss has about 500 others training at his estate, right now." Both clones nodded in response to the question. "The training they do passes on, don't they?" Karen grinned. "Sweet. Mind if I learn?" At the same time, they both said, "Impossible." "What? Why?" The first clone remarked, "For one, it doesn't use mana. Number 2, what it does use, you have nowhere near enough to make one, whereas I can make over 1,500 of them, going on for 12 hours each on a full tank. Besides, you can't tap into that energy without practice, and a lot of training to control it." The second copy was added. "And finally, it wouldn't do much good for training if you can't make at least 100 and use them all for 5 hours. Still, if all 100 of them do the same thing for 5 hours, I've got 500 hours of experience in using it. The effects stack, though only mentally." The second clone noted, "The energy used is split." The first one said, "Mana, on the other hand, isn't. Found that out in practice." Perfect for training spells, but Cage Bunshin doesn't transfer physical training, so that's out. Muscle memorization still works though. Karen appeared somewhat dejected. Figures. Well, let him know that Rattlebones is probably the one causing all the corruption. I just ask that you leave the tower intact. We kind of need it. The two Cage Bunshin vanished in a cloud of smoke. Karen blinked. So that's how they dispel. Nice. As the original Naruto entered the Oriel's hedge maze, he glanced around. That'll work. Just gotta update Lady Oriel, and I can take care of him. Naruto approached Oriel and gave her a nod. The fairies have been purified along with their queen, which was also corrupted, somehow. I'm going to go after Rattlebones next, since he's the one that started the corruption. Get rid of him, we get rid of the source. Rattlebones is a skeleton, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the means on his own. Oriel made the point. You're right. He's probably being put up to this, not knowing the Storm Fox is on the job. She gave him a treasure card and said, please. Show him no mercy, but also, use this to finish him off, please. After examining it, Naruto shrugged. Fine by me. I was going to go for a massive overkill on him, but this works too. Massive overkill? Oh, I was going to deal so much damage to him that he'd be dead before it finished if it were a constant burst or a beam. Oriel considered it. Naruto grinned ferociously and nodded, saying, go for your plan, but keep the card for your own use. Thank you. Just leave the tower intact. He may be in there, but I don't think it'll help if you destroy it. Naruto displayed the Storm Kyuubi card as he reached for his ninja pouch and took out another treasure card. Oriel's gaze expanded. I see you recognize it. You're going to use that on him? She almost yelled, mostly out of shock and surprise. He corrupted the minds of several friends of mine, and friends of Sylvia Drake. His idea or not, he's the one that ordered the skeletons to do it. He's earned the usage of it, in my opinion. After that, Naruto created a Cage Bunshin. Go tell Karen to head to Rattlebones Tower. He's going to see a legend in action. The fox is angry, and the storm shall follow in his wake. The clone gave a nod and jumped off. Then Naruto turned to face Lady Oriel. I'll be going, and thanks for letting us help out. Naruto nodded and grinned slightly as Oriel said, you are a friend of Sylvia's. It is an honor to work with you. She always spoke highly of you when brought up. Naruto then leapt off himself. The Tower of Rattlebones. Before Karen approached the tower, Naruto waited for 2 minutes at its base. I've been waiting for you. If it took you 3 minutes to get here, then you've got to work out more. Karen responded, breathing heavily, well, excuse me for not being an athlete. I hope you don't expect me to fight. Naruto gave a headshake. All I want you to do is watch as the Storm Fox takes out a bastard that harmed his friends. The Storm Fox? Naruto just gave a nod. Consider it my thanks for giving me a way to turn the sprites back to normal, without killing them. I didn't want to be honest, and not just because of Lady Oriel. He then got up and entered. You coming or what? With Rattlebones ahead of him and a skeleton beside him, Karen followed numbly. The armored skeleton said in a raspy voice, so, you're the one that has been killing my subordinates and reversing my curse. Prepare to die, fool. Then Naruto uttered 2 words and raised a hand. Arena engage. A glow emerged beneath Naruto and the 2 skeletons. Karen avoided getting involved. Naruto held 6 power pips at once by supercharging his pip counter. He also pulled out a bright tan card because he had gained a normal pip. A spell of balance. Karen could still see through the light gray barrier that encased the entire field, but none of the combatants could see outside. You're going to feel the full wrath of the storm. Field spell activate, he said, using the standard pip. This is an original spell of mine. It makes it so that size is not an issue when it comes to spells, for one. The next thing is, anything outside this field will not be collateral damage in the case of wide-scale destruction spells and jutsu. Like you'd have one of those. He grinned devilishly and said, actually, I have several, but I plan to use my most destructive one. You see, I need 7 power pips to use it in arena rules, and I don't usually empower the pips with chakra as I get them, like I did for this occasion. Rattlebones wanted to know, hit me with your best shot. Then, using all of his pip points in a storm spell, Naruto charged his mana. Behind it, a 9-tailed, 19-foot, tall purple fox thrashed out. The body, tails, legs, and head were all streaked with lightning, the eyes were red with slits, and the fur at the tips of the tails was golden yellow. Its face was a smirk of extreme malice and mischievousness. Red and blue energy wisps spiraled into a ball when the fox's enormous jaw opened, and when the lightning joined in, the ball's diameter shrank from a good 17 feet to just 3 feet. Lightning encircled it like an electromagnetic field and flowed through it. Karen Nightshant was openly staring at the mana beast outside the barrier. It was enormous. In addition, he could actually feel the waves of power emanating from it. However, that was insignificant in comparison to the energy ball that was developing. That's one hit. There was only one thing on his mind. I feel sorry for whoever is caught in the crossfire if he ever uses that spell again. I sincerely hope I'm not nearby. Then Naruto addressed the astonished skeletons. They never thought there would be someone this influential in the area. You know, Rattlebones, I rarely use the Storm Kyuubi spell. The only ones that I would even consider using it on are those that royally piss me off. Consider yourself lucky. Now. Rantan. Kyubiko Amari. Karen found the chant odd, but combined with the surprise of the creature he brought out, it didn't register. As Karen was about to yell, he noticed a triumphant grin on his face as the ball headed in the direction of the two skeletons. Then an explosion occurred, and a large one, with Kakashi. Surprised, Kakashi turned to face Unicorn Way, startling Professor Greyrose in front of him. Kakashi. What is he doing? Who? Kakashi gave her a serious look. It's Naruto, and that much chakra should be felt. We don't use chakra here, and thus cannot truly sense it. Kakashi gave a headshake. What I don't get is, what's so dangerous he'd have to use that much chakra at once, not to mention not have a shockwave at all. There's bound to be an explosion. Breaking through the door was Sasuke. Kakashi, what was? Kakashi noted, Naruto did that. What could have made him use that much chakra? Then Sasuke understood. He exhaled, not a threat level usage. What do you mean? It's rage. He's pissed, and that was probably why. Professor Ballistrom entered and gave Kakashi a look. Sasuke and Penny, who had been right behind the door, nodded as well. Kakashi Hatake, I believe you may want to know what just happened, correct? Kakashi said. That was Naruto using his Storm Kyuubi spell. He never uses it unless he's pissed, and that's not often. It's his own creation, based on his inner demon, if you know what I mean. Penny and Kakashi nodded, while Sasuke remained silent despite his confusion. What does he mean, Kakashi? It's an S-rank secret. I can't say anything on it, only he can. We're not in the elemental nations. The laws there can go fuck themselves. Sasuke responded. Kakashi's gaze grew wide. Fortunately, his mask was still on, so his smirk was concealed. That will undoubtedly be beneficial. He turned to face Sasuke. Tomorrow. If he wants you to know, I'll tell you. Same goes for Sakura, so let her know about this. I don't believe the girl there should know, though. Penny gave a headshake. If you're talking about that seal he mentioned on his stomach, then I already know what's in it, she informed him. You do? Then she gave him a playful glance. He recognized the face somewhat at that point, saying, kind of hard not to when I saw him myself. Although there were some variations, it was the same expression Naruto received just before he used a single sentence and no chakra to mind-fuck someone. There was only one question for him. How? Penny shrugged and said, took me in while he was meditating. For a destructive beast, he sure talks a lot. This caused Kakashi to become alarmed. Does she already know? He pondered, however, because he didn't tell her. Did he tell you afterwards? She gave a headshake. He knows that I know, and I don't care about Kurama's reputation. He's nice, if a little bloodthirsty. Stay on his good side, and you'll be fine. Back with Naruto as the field vanished, Naruto gave Karen a slight grin. Karen sank to his knees, unable to finish, that was. Naruto went on, destructive? Overkill? Insane? Although Naruto could hear it, Karen muttered, all of the above. Naruto stated, that was the point. It's why I need 7 power pips in arena rules. You know how rank 2 spells only use about 2 mana on a scale. Karen gave a slow nod, still in disbelief at the storm spell's strength. Storm Kyuubi uses 50 mana on that same scale. How? How did you come up with that? Naruto gave a shrug. It's why I'm called the Storm Fox. It's my own creation based on an age-old and seemingly extinct beast. The Storm Fox. They're nothing but an urban legend now, but I turned that legend into reality with the Storm Kyuubi spell. Naruto then glanced at the door. He left the tower and leapt off to the hedge maze, saying, I'm going to see Lady Oriole and tell her that it's done. You should go to Headmaster Ambrose and let him know what happened here. Oriole was depressed when he landed on a stone pillar. She turned to find out where he was. Lady Oriole, she asked. Naruto. What was that? He answered, that was Storm Kyuubi. That should have destroyed half the city. Naruto raised one finger. One of the reasons I don't use it unless pissed off to epic levels is because of the destructive ability. Another hand. The second reason I don't use it often is because I refuse to use it around others, or in arena rules matches. This, however, also allowed me to test out the only balanced spell I know, Otherworld. I've never heard of it, learned it from Kurama. It's an age-old spell from my world, but I made it useful in the spiral after I got back. It kept the damage to the arena, and it can only be used in arena rules. Anything inside the barrier cannot get out until the battle is over, and will not be cancelled out by spells like Darkwind, Wildfire, and the like. It's unique to me, but if I get the chance to go to the balance school, I'll teach it to them, seeing as that's where it fits in the most. At this, the Seraph gave a nod. I see, so you needed to test it out? Naruto gave a nod. And it works better than advertised. Destruction was limited to the field, no shockwave, no air pressure released, and no collateral. I didn't think it would stop the air pressure from going through, to be honest. The power used can still be felt, though. I'd wager anyone that can sense chakra felt that. Well, I thank you for helping my friends. If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate to ask. This made Naruto tense. Are you sure? Because I have been working on something that would allow anything from the school to be summoned without the use of mana or cards. What would it be? I call it the life contract. I'd have to get permission from the races themselves and tie in their signature before it can summon them though. I've also made one for Storm, and I've already signed the contract and tested it. I don't exactly need to find the species for Storm, as I can talk to them directly no matter where I am. They all agreed, but I'd need the permission from each of the life species. Lady Oriel gave a nod. I will let my brethren know about your deeds and your request. If they do not, I will allow myself to be aligned with it, but I can say nothing for the sprite. The Fairy Queen returned to her typical bright green attire and said, "We're fine with it, Lady Oriel. We owe him that much. As the leader of the sprites, I say we're in. We just need to know how to know we're being summoned." After nodding and biting his thumb, Naruto performed 5 hand signs before slamming his palm to the floor. Naruto stood in front of a lightning snake and said, "Summoning Jutsu." The snake glanced at Naruto after spotting the Fairy Queen. For the life contract? Needs to know a few things as to how summoning works. Sadly, the only one I can talk to on the situation can't summon at the moment, not having a connection back to our world. Naruto made the point. Mind explaining it to us, Kadim? Them so they know, and me so I can let others know as needed? The snake said, "I see. I would gladly do so, Lord Naruto." It then went on to describe the summoning side, including how it feels, what can be done, and how it would operate. We of the Storm contract have been staying in one place for the most part, anyway. I believe it is correct to assume that those of the life school are not gathered in one place. Lady Oriel acknowledged, "You are right. We are not largely gathered. As I let the other Seraphim know, I could ask them to reveal it at the next meeting." The snake gave a nod. Remember, it is completely voluntary, and those of the contract can refuse to be summoned if they do not approve of the summoner. I learned this before I joined with the Storm contract. Seeing as I was a unique snake in another contract bearing more abilities over lightning than poison. I was outcasted, in a sense. I found a home in the Storm realm, a friend, and family. I am happy to be a part of the Storm contract. As Oriel put it, is it worth it? Very much so. It said the snake. If you wish to become part of the contract, you simply need to put your genetics into the contract itself. A way for it to recognize you as a summon. Also, when summoned this way, death is only temporary. You die, you get sent back automatically. If you're low on energy, you can send yourself back with practice. Oriel said, "What about this boss summon? How do we know who it would be?" It is best to choose the boss amongst themselves, but some contracts have a single boss, along with boss for each subtype. For the Storm contract, we have Triton as our boss, but each species tied to it follow their own bosses which follow Triton. The last known living Titan. Kadim, the snake, responded. After exchanging glances, the sprite and Seraph nodded. There is a council regarding those aligned with life. I was asked to attend it as well, so I can bring it up. I thank you for the information, Kadim of the Storm contract, Oriel said. I have to go as the leader of the sprites, anyway. Also, the sprites are in, whether the rest of the council goes for it or not. The Fairy Queen continued. You can count on us if you need us. Naruto gave a nod. Before I started, I found out that if one were to make a summoning contract, in the case of multiple species tying themselves to it, all must be do so simultaneously for them all to be tied to it. No matter how you look at it, I'll need to know who's in, who's not, and who's not sure. I need a definite yes or no before I tie anyone to it. Adding others to the contract has been considered impossible, and it took me a good 20 hours to design the proper seal for it to work. I'd prefer not to do that again. Sorry, but it requires a precision and patience I don't have much of at the moment. Both of them gave a nod. I will let you know after the council. We will see for ourselves who wants in, Oriel said. The Fairy Queen went on, and the sprites you already have a guarantee. And by the way, my name is Carrie. Fairy Queen is just my title, but it's what everyone calls me. Naruto jokingly asked, is there a Fairy King, too? No, there isn't. Amused, Naruto shook his head. It was a joke, Carrie. Oh, you should be more definitive with what you say. Naruto gave a gentle smile. It's the tone of voice you have to watch out for, not just the words themselves. It's how a word is said that gives the true meaning of a sentence, not the word itself. They gave a nod. You should return to Ambrose. He would like to know what has happened here. No doubt he already knows I used Storm Kyuubi, though he probably doesn't know who I used it on. Besides, I sent Karen Nightchan to let him know. I'm pretty tired, after all, and it is getting late. Both of them gave a nod. You will forever be a friend of the sprites, Naruto. Naruto then teleported out and collapsed on a bed in the storm house, causing his clone with Karen to lead her inside and dispel. Thank you, Carrie. Hopefully I'll see you soon. While Naruto slept, Karen nestled into his chest. She was fast asleep. The day after Naruto had aided Unicorn, Kakashi had not yet located him, presumably because he had gone to his other residence. However, he soon discovered Naruto conversing with Torrance in the morning. Naruto, we need to talk. About? He inquired. It was still quite quiet because most people hadn't woken up yet and it was still early. Kyuubi. Naruto gave him a look. I'll talk to you later, Torrance. This is probably important. The storm tree answered, I'll talk to you later, Naruto. Good luck in your endeavors. With a simple smile, Naruto left and then ascended the exterior of the storm tower. He was followed by Kakashi, who sat down with him on the roof. In the end, Naruto asked, are you worried about him escaping? No, but that brings up an interesting point. Kakashi admitted. I was going to ask if it was okay to let Sasuke and Sakura know about it. Another death student already knows, claiming to have seen it. He was interrupted by Naruto, who nodded. Penny Dreadful knew that Sasuke might not take it well, and Sakura would probably be a little wary for a while. She doesn't know who I am. Probably best that way. I tell them myself, though I'll ask that Penny be there as well. If they're going to learn the truth, they'll need to know the full truth. That means what really happened, and I'll be showing all of you what happened that day. The day my parents died, and the Kyuubi no Yoko attacked. How do you plan to do that? Just leave that to me. Make sure that Sasuke and Penny know. I'll let Cyrus and Professor Wu know that Sakura may not be able to attend classes this afternoon, and let her know. It's considered an S-class secret back home, but even the Hokage himself is not aware of the full events. He stood up and examined the girls' dorm, the tower. Let them know. I'll do so, but how do you know it's the truth? It's just something that I know. Kurama already swore on his position as a Biju that it was true. It would mean losing his status if it was a lie. Even I could see that. Well, I'll let them know. Naruto nodded and jumped off a bit, making 2 Kage Bunshin. They both went to the respective houses and waited in their living rooms. Jared just waited until Sakura came out and told her. Penny came out soon afterwards, and he told her, what about Sasuke? Naruto said, Sensei will tell him. Penny, you know of the topic, but not the full story. Found that out after I got back home. Penny answered, okay. I'm glad to know you're sharing this, Naruto. Naruto remarked, only because you already know and I trust you. Sakura and Sasuke I'm not sure about, but I don't exactly care either way. Penny gave a nod. Well, mind if I see your other house until then? Naruto shrugged and blinked. Why not? Hope you can handle the storms. They both teleported out as she took his hand. Later that day, Royal Estate. When Penny and Naruto arrived, he escorted her to the greenhouse at the summit. She said, amazed, wow. This is like Marylebone. As they approached, Naruto rubbed the back of his head and said, well, that's where I got this place. There, they saw Ambrose, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. Surprised, Penny said, Headmaster Ambrose? Ambrose glanced at Naruto and said, yes, I am surprised she is here for this. Any particular reason why she is here, Naruto? He just shrugged. She knows part of it, figured she deserved the full story. After that, Naruto approached a globe stand and positioned it in the middle of the greenhouse. With curiosity, Sakura inquired, "What's that for?" As Naruto produced a tiny glass sphere, Ambrose's eyes grew wide. "Is that a projection sphere?" "Yes, it is." It was his response. "This will show a memory for you all to see." Then he entered the right memory, but neither Kurama's nor his own. Karen remained mostly by Naruto's side, but none of the others paid her any attention. It replayed events from Naruto's birthday until the Yondaime Hokage's death, at which point everything returned to normal. If you want a reference, go to Shippuden or chapters 500 to 504 of Naruto, where the entire event takes place. Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke were all in disbelief. Ambrose was stroking his beard. Naruto was nearby when Penny sobbed into his shoulder. I didn't know. Not that much." Sakura, still in shock, turned to face Naruto. You're the... I'm his son." His eyes were now wide. Ambrose was the first to comment in full. "I can tell that if I met Minato, or even Kushina, I would have liked them. It's such a shame that they died the way they did. They were true heroes, of that I can be certain." Naruto's gaze was downward. After giving him a quick glance, Kakashi watched Sasuke stand up and place a hand on his shoulder. He said, "You aren't alone. Not anymore." Naruto gave him a startled look. "Sasuke." Sakura just got up and looked at him in shock and surprise. She didn't say a word for a good 30 seconds of staring. Penny was still crying into his shoulder. She then bonked him on the head, as usual. He flinched. Sasuke and Penny glared at her, as did Kakashi and Ambrose. "Just so we're clear, that information won't change anything. I'll still hit you for being an idiot." Naruto was looking down, before they all heard chuckling. His head went back up and his laughter was a lot louder, and even happier than ever before. This surprised all of the others. "Naruto." Penny was confused. He wiped away the tears that came, and let out a breath. "Thanks, Sakura, I really needed that." He smiled at her. "That memory came from the seal itself. Not Kurama, or me. Didn't see most of that coming, but, from what Kurama tells me, you are almost exactly like my mother." Kakashi then looked at Sakura. "Aside from being one of Sasuke's fangirls in the academy, I can see it all. He's right. You are almost exactly like Kushina in personality." Sakura just blinked a few times. "I am?" Kakashi nodded. Ambrose was just watching in silence. Naruto then had a small smile on his face. "Thanks guys." Penny didn't even speak. She just tackled him, and surprised him with a passionate kiss. The surprise was short-lived, and he closed his eyes and gave it back. The others gave them the opportunity. They knew Naruto needed it. Naruto uttered a single word as they separated. "Wow. I don't care what you have in you, or who your parents are. You're you. Not them. Not anyone else. And I care for you. More than you know, I always have," she told him. Naruto nodded, not bothering to comment on it. They both got up, and he looked at the others. "I have another goal, now. Make my parents proud, and surpass them both. I'm still gonna be the best Hokage ever." His voice, though subdued, was still as determined as ever. Kakashi nodded. "I can teach you what your father taught me, now that we know, and I can tell you about both your parents, seeing as I knew them both personally." Naruto nodded, before looking at Ambrose. "Old man, don't you have paperwork to do?" He chuckled at that. "I'm working on it. My body is on autopilot. I had to be here for this, so my mind is projecting my form here, while I listen in. I cannot train physically like this, but I can still train spells. It's mostly mental prowess, anyway." Naruto shrugged. "Well, I'd clone myself, but that works too. Cloning is not a bad idea, but it would be necessary if the original could retain the memories the clones gain." Naruto nodded. "Kage Bunshin does just that." Ambrose gave a nod. All Kakashi did was look at him. "Have you been holding that over Hokage Sama's head?" Naruto blinked. Everyone laughed at his obvious ignorance and said, "Wait, I can do that. I'm being serious here. I thought he already knew, being the professor, and all." Kakashi grinned. He constantly curses it out, because it eats up most of his time. Then Naruto flashed a sly smile. "Oh yeah, I can definitely use that later." He turned to face Penny and said, "Naruto, I just use it to get him to give me my mom's stuff. Dad's stuff can wait." Kakashi remarked, "I thought your father would be more important? I may respect them both, and always looked up to my father, whether I knew he was or not, but I've known about my mother for a lot longer than this. Ever since my last time in the spiral, actually. I had just reached Marylebone when I was told about her." Naruto sighed. Besides, she's a lot safer than my dad to let out. The only ones that would go after me are from Kiri, because they knew much more about the Uzumaki clan than Kumo, Iwa, or Suna, and Konoha wouldn't go after me for her. They've gone after me for Kurama. They don't respect me for me, they can go fuck themselves. Sakura gave his head a bonk. The first thing you have to do is learn some manners. Naruto merely gave his head a rub. My private property, Sakura. I say what I want here. At that, Ambrose gave a nod. I know that she taught you manners. I may understand your reasoning, young Naruto, but I do not agree when you have a political figure in the area. Considering the fact I see you as a grandfather, and there are no others around, do you really think I'd be that way here? Wizard City, I would, but here? Not a chance. Ambrose had a small grin. And that's the Naruto I've grown to care for. Good luck, lad. Oh, and Sakura? She looked at him. Yes, headmaster. Cyrus wanted to speak to you. Something about correcting another student's mistakes. Sakura nodded at that. I'll see him when we head back. Ambrose simply faded away, and she turned to Naruto. Do I even want to know? Naruto shrugged. My guess? Student had to correct a problem, and went overboard. Not that. It's obvious that the village didn't listen to your father's last wish. Don't think I haven't heard any of the demon-related rumors in the village. I know they hate you for the fox. At least I do now that I know why they said that, but they're idiots. I can't see why my mom can't see past all that hatred. I mean, sure, the Kyuubi killed my father, but that's no reason to take it out on you. I'm a human sacrifice, Sakura. It's kind of my job. Besides, it helps with my endurance. The more pain I can take, the better off I'll be. Penny smacked the back of his head. You don't have to make yourself suffer for their ignorance. She sounded slightly annoyed. Penny, you know as well as I do, that if I took the path of an Avenger, I'd be no better than they are. I know why they're after me, and I've already gotten my payback on Kurama. We're mostly on good terms now, but he can still be a pain. I heard that, Naruto. You know it's true. You want me to up the seals again? I'm going to need that soon anyway. I've already gotten them up a lot, and I'm pretty used to them. Naruto looked at Sakura. Can you summon any myth minions? Yeah, why? Naruto smirked. Use them for physical training when you have time off. He lost his smirk. When you face off with your school's best, you'll end up being better than most would think. I mean, I've trained against the water elemental, which is the primary minion for storm, and even several of the other beings from storm spells. It's one of the reasons why I have so much stamina. I fought them in my storm house. The storm sharks, though, taught me something literally invaluable. I can damn near breathe underwater thanks to them. Well, this is surprising. Carrie, the fairy queen, said, coming into the place. Carrie? She said, who else? The council wanted to see you, they're a little suspicious. Naruto's eyebrow went up. Isn't this a little early? There was a disturbance as Mushu, and they were called for that, when the Seraphim representative, and myself of course, brought up the contract. We don't know the full situation in Mushu, so we can't act just yet. There's probably something else for this, but I don't know what. They're waiting. Naruto turned to face the other people. Sorry guys, but this takes precedence. Sakura, remember what I said. Sasuke, remember what I've done. Penny. She grinned at him and said, don't bother, I already know. Karen jumped into Naruto's arms. You want to come too, don't you? Of course. Well, alright. Just don't growl at them. We want to gain their favor, not cause them to hate us. I know, sheesh. Naruto looked at Carrie and nodded. The three of them teleported out, and Sasuke got Penny and Sakura out of there and into the commons. Forest clearing. Several woodland beings were sitting in a circle on the ground. Some of them are easy to determine, such as the Seraph, Centaur, Satyr and Leprechaun. How long will this take? We need to take action. The Centaur spoke, obviously irritated. Carrie is the leader of 3 of our clans. We will need her vote. The Satyr replied. Don't be going after her head now, Silenus. I don't believe we need to let her know that you don't like us here. The Leprechaun pointed out. I don't like the idea of this contract. We Satyrs have enough problems as it is with where we are now. Our god is missing, and no one is able to find him. Just then, Carrie, Naruto, and Karen showed up. Sorry we're late, she said. Naruto nodded. Yeah, when I get lost on the road of life, I'm pretty hard to find. The Seraph shook her head. I am surprised you even know of that saying. Naruto shrugged. Anyway, if I may ask, what do you all want me for? How about we start with the contract, the Leprechaun stated. What's in it for us? Naruto told them everything he knew. That sounds an awful lot like Elementia. You are from there? The centaur spoke. Naruto's eyebrow went up. Didn't think any of you guys would know of it. The centaur gave a sigh. My home is just north of Kusagakure. I'm familiar with the shinobi way of summoning. Didn't think that's what we were going for. Naruto gave a few blinks. Well, that would be about right. The centaurs already have one. There is no summoner at the moment, so we can get rid of it, and tie ourselves to this one. Count us in. Most of my brethren love to fight hard and party harder. So, kid, you sign a contract yet? He acknowledged, yes, but I don't think you've heard of it. Try me. I know of every contract in Elementia. Well then, I doubt you even know of this one, as I made it and tied the summons to it a few days ago. I'm the first shinobi summoner they have. Naruto replied. I made one for the storm school, and signed it. I'm trying to do the same for life and death schools, but I won't be going for fire, ice, or myth. Not yet at least. I'm doing life first, because I owe it to Sylvia Drake. It's why I'm learning the way of a Thurgist. I'm doing it for her. Surprised, the leprechaun inquired, you know of Sylvia? He received a nod. Well, cut out me pot of gold. Tell me, laddie, how well did ya know her? He let out a sigh and lowered his head a little. His head rose, his eyes sad. She was someone I considered my own mother. My real one died before I could even learn anything about her. But my real mother, I know what she's like. I've been taking pages from her book for a while. I'll never forget Sylvia. He clasped his hands tightly. But Orochimaru of the Sannin is going to pay for what he did to her. Wait, Orochimaru? The holder of Manda's snake contract? Naruto gave a nod. It was him. His curse mark is what killed her, chakra poisoning. The centaur's own fists clenched. Manda, you're going to get a really hard beating when I see you. Naruto managed to hide his slight surprise. Next to speak was the silent satyr. Who is this Orochimaru? Why haven't I heard of him? Orochimaru is a rogue from Konohagakure. I don't have all the information on him, but I know I'm not good enough to take him out. Naruto stated. If I find him, though, he will suffer quite a bit. Not just for Sylvia, but so he can't do anything to anyone else like he did her. The satyr nodded at that. The satyrs are too busy for a contract like this. I am afraid we cannot do anything for you. Naruto noted, if you need any help, you just have to ask the holder of the contract. True as that is, it is our problem, not yours. They said, wait a moment, Silenus. The satyrs and dryads live in the same realm. Besides, Pan probably will not want to be found. After hearing this, Naruto posed a query. Forgive my ignorance, but who is Pan? I can tell he or she is important, but I do not know why. Then came the centaur. Pan is the god of the wilds. He has been missing for millennia, but the satyrs believe he still lives. Before a frown appeared on his face, Naruto's eyes widened. If he hasn't been found in millennia, and you're searching in places that he would rule, then how about a place he'd never go? If I don't want to be found, I could be virtually anywhere and still be hidden, but the best place to hide is a place no one would expect you to be. The satyr's gaze widened. I mean, this is coming from someone that's been hated for most of his short life, so I've had to hide a lot. If he's only hiding, then I'd check the places he'd never go, or has little to no control over. Or maybe the entrance is in a place no one would think he'd ever go. He's probably too weakened over time, but has held on this long because of your belief in him. But the belief of a few is not enough for a god to sustain their own power if their domain is destroyed. You think he's dead? Yelled the satyr. Naruto shook his head. I believe he may still be out there, but you're only prolonging his death. I don't know the full situation, but if his domain is being torn asunder, then he may not be long for your world. Once found, he may just give up his powers to those in the area. That's what I'd do, at least. The satyr trembled. The seraph said, Silenus, you need to calm down. You dare mock the great god Pan. Unfazed, Naruto simply stood there. If that's what you think I'm doing, then I'm afraid you're wrong. I don't know if he wants to die, or just doesn't have the strength to sustain himself anymore, but whatever the case, only he can tell you. Still, if you want him to save his lands, then you are the fool. Not him. Not me. Everyone took notice of this, and Naruto's expression was grim. You may not like it, Silenus, but to get something done, a god cannot do it for you. They can give you the tools, but they aren't allowed to take action. In every case I know of, gods are allowed to shape a world, but they cannot make any direct involvement in them, only guide them. They can't save anything in their domain themselves. It's why they have beings like you. To do that for them, because they can't do so themselves without losing their status as a god or goddess. If you can't handle the truth, then I don't think you'll do any good in the contract. Karen looked at Naruto with wide eyes. She was immediately disregarded, at least temporarily, when she said, "Naruto, I thought we had to gain their acceptance?" Sylvia felt furious. To think a mere mortal would ever speak such words, as if you knew them. Everyone fell silent when he said, "I know them, because I've been told by 2 gods and 1 goddess. When a god or goddess doesn't want to be found, usually they simply want to die in peace. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Gods cannot interfere with the affairs of mortals directly. They can tell you where to go, but they can't do it themselves. It's an ancient law. Gods, no matter where you are, all follow that law. To break it, is to lose your position and power as a god." With his eyes wide and his mind racing, Sylvia remained silent. "Maybe. I am suspending judgment. If someone claims what you say to be true, then I will join. Until then, I say get lost. The centaurs are in. I'd be impressed with you, laddie. I will let the others know. Count us in." They all turned to a tree when he said, "The Ents are in as well." With his eyes wide, Naruto remarked, "I can't believe I didn't sense you." The tree answered, "I'm just that good." After closing his eyes, Naruto burst out laughing. "Oh yeah. You and I will get along great. You already know the sprites are in, as are the fairies." The seraph stated, "The seraphim have already discussed it amongst ourselves. We are also willing to come along, but only to help with a demonic entity, which I sense within you." The centaur's eyebrow went up. "Jinchuriki?" Naruto averted his gaze, feeling a bit down. "And you're not insane. Double the effort from the centaurs for you." "If there's any reason I'd be insane, it's because of the storm," Naruto told him. For a Jinchuriki, insanity means going out on bloodthirsty rampages. Nothing else qualifies. "What about an Uzumaki?" The centaur almost fell over at that. You're an Uzumaki." "Naruto Uzumaki is my name. Kushina Uzumaki is my mother." "Kushina. Gaki, if you ever head to water country, stop by an island about 5 hours travel with water walking from wave country. South-southwest, 21 degrees. I knew the Uzumaki clan personally. They're so crazy, they defy logic. Not to mention fate does anything they can to screw them over." Naruto smiled a bit. "Had my fair share of that. One more thing. Learn how to gamble. Trust me, it'll help." He looked at Sylvia. "Taish has more roots and kids in that clan than anywhere else. Their luck is absurd because of it." "Taish? You mean the kid has more luck in him than even the most professional gamblers out there?" "Would not be surprised." The centaur looked at Naruto. "If you sign the life contract, as you probably intend to call it, call me up. Name's Sering. I can give you a complete background on the old Uzumaki clan. Got most of it from Kurama." The Kyuubi, Naruto nodded. "How?" "The last 2 Jinchuriki were both Uzumaki. Mito Uzumaki, who married Hashirama Senju, and Kushina Uzumaki, my mother. I've been learning a lot from their skills, but mainly Fuinjutsu. Uzumaki are best in 3 things: gambling, blades, and Fuinjutsu. Their unpredictability is an asset that let them survive against 3 great nations. Iwa, Kumo and Kiri had to pull together to do anything about them in the Second War, and even then it took them 7 months to take them out. Their stubborn attitudes and sheer unpredictability. They were better than any clan known to date. The best of their time. Not even the Senju and Uchiha clans could match them. Put 3 Uzumaki on defense, and they will stop almost any attempt to grab something, or even reach it. They're that good." Everyone who could hear, except for Sylvia in the tree, whistled. "Perhaps we could use some help on our end. A war is approaching, from what most can gather, but not declared yet," Sylvia said. "I don't believe that the Time Titan will be returning. It's just stupid." Naruto gave a headshake. "Believe what you want, Sylvia, but you will never know the truth if you cannot accept it. I can't change your mind unless you see it for yourself. I learned that the hard way, after years of abuse, that is." Sering cautioned, "Don't get into your past, Naruto. I know my past is painful, but it doesn't bother me much. Anyway, is there anything else I should know?" "If you can find out what is happening in Mushu, please do," Sering said. "We had lost contact with our representative there recently. We do not know why, however. If anyone is hesitant when you do find out what's going on, and probably fix it, then that will get rid of them, I believe." Naruto gave a nod. "If I go that way, I'll make sure to take a look. Who's the guy?" "The locals know him as the Jade Oni. He's basically the life version of a Elephant from the Fire Clans. Sering continued. Got it. If I find anything on him, I'll be sure to let you know. I can at least let Lady Oriel know, and she can let the others know. I know where she stays, most of the time. Everybody in the room nodded. Smugly, Carrie told him, we'll send for you if we need your help with something. Though Silenus might not. So, you ready to go back? Karen yipped as Naruto glanced at her. He shook his head and picked her up. I can head back on my own. Don't worry so much about me. It's getting here that's a problem. He teleported out, storm symbols appearing where he was. They were thinking about Silenus in particular. 2 days had passed since Team 7 and Penny realized the reality. After speaking with Cyrus, Sakura was instructed to go to a location called Cyclops Lane. The main reason she had been having some difficulties was that she wouldn't be able to hold out against General Achilles for very long. This leads us to the present. The General of Cyclops yelled, "You fool, you believe you can win? In your condition?" She was breathing a little hard. Note to self. Train with Cyclops minions. They hit hard, and can take even more hits. At that moment, there was an explosion near the door of the room they were in. A figure appeared to them, but it was covered in smoke. However, Sakura recognized the voice. Need some help, Sakura? As he passed through the smoke, Naruto emerged holding his staff. Achilles bellowed, "This is an honor duel, back off. This will still be a one-on-one. Sakura, you're switching out with me. Whatever deal you made with her still stands, and to be fair, I will heal you before we begin." Naruto replied, "I am not without honor." Achilles thought for a moment, and Sakura stepped back. After he used a satyr spell, Achilles' wounds were healed. Now, Sakura, witness the Storm Fox. Arena engage. Achilles received the dagger, and Naruto received the sun. He began, "Let's begin." "I'll start," he said, tossing his hammer, which had little effect on Naruto. It didn't show if his health circle moved. Naruto laughed. He went from 1 normal pip to 1 normal and 4 power pips. If that was supposed to hurt, then you're full of yourself. In arena fights, I can gain anywhere from 1 to 8 pips, though if I gain 8 it's really 4 power pips. Now, Stormblade. He was surrounded with a blue and gold charm around his head. He spoke without following up. "Your move, Achilles." He smiled, the Cyclops. He possessed 3 piplets. "Let's see you take this," he said, summoning a Cyclops with a myth spell. Naruto's health ring hardly moved. "I have far more stamina than that, Achilles. It would take 60 of those hits to take me out." The pupils of Achilles widened. A blue and gold charm, a red and orange charm, and a white and light blue blade charm encircled his head as he said, "My turn." Elemental Blade. Despite having 5 power pip now, Naruto didn't even seem concerned. He was actually quite at ease. He did nothing when Achilles placed a myth trap on him. "I'll give you 1 more shot, Achilles. Then it's strike 3. Game over," Naruto said. "Are you toying with me? No, I'm giving you a chance. Healing you up? Letting you attack? I'm the Storm Fox. I could level half of Wizard City in 1 go. More if I went all out." Sakura's eyes widened in surprise. "1 spell is all I would need, but I'm not going to use it here. You didn't piss me off. You are honorable. I like that, so I'm giving you a chance. You've got 1 more attack. If you fail, then I shall strike, and the odds of you surviving are slim at best." "You dare mock me?" As Achilles had 5 pip, Naruto said, "It's not mocking, if it's the truth. I believe it is your turn." A Minotaur materialized after he used a single spell. Naruto gasped. That one he felt, really. Around the 4-foot circle, his health ring only moved an inch. Achilles' eye widened in surprise as he said, "I'll be honest. I actually felt that one." "I don't believe it." Naruto charged 1 spell and exclaimed, "Well, believe it, Tempest." A huge wave came and hit Achilles, knocking him back almost unconscious. He said something. "The lever. On the stand. Girl. Take my hammer. Use it." Sakura gave him a look. "It's your hammer. I shouldn't use it." "That strike. Did more than I could handle. Take it. Use it. It is yours." "What about Naruto? The boy is strong as is. He does not need it." Achilles admitted. "Use it, my last request." Sakura gripped the handle of the hammer. It was much more neat than the others she had seen, but shrunk when she grabbed it. It now fit in her hand, but it was slightly heavy. Picture Mjolnir from Avengers 2012 movie. Thor's weapon. Naruto sighed, and looked at her as she was admiring the hammer. "He wanted you to use it. Learn to use it. Summon a Cyclops minion and ask them to help you learn." How do I know it'll work? Do you see an arena right now? He paused. An active one. No, but... He pulled out a card and summoned a water elemental, which looked confused. I don't use the usual storm minions for a reason. I don't need them here. He looked at the elemental. But you do make good sparring partners. Can't argue that. Sakura looked around, and tried to summon a Cyclops minion, and it appeared. It looked around, before spotting the water elemental. Sakura noticed the shift in attitude, and spoke. That's not the opponent. This earned a confused look. I need to learn how to use this. She showed off her new hammer. Can you help? The Cyclops thought for a moment, and nodded. Naruto used another satyr, and healed her. Good luck, Sakura. Trust me, you'll need it. She nodded in response, and he left the room through the destroyed door, as the other students got out of their cell, and looked at Sakura, who was still learning to use her new hammer. They saw the whole thing. Sakura Haruno? One of them started. The Cyclops ignored them, but she replied, yeah? Why are you just fighting with your Cyclops? Better to learn to act on woe. She jumped back, and avoided the nasty blow that would have smashed her head in. She did a backflip and ducked, saying, better to learn like this, so I can use it even when attacked by anyone. She grunted as she smacked the Cyclops in the leg, adding, besides, I've been using the Troll Guardians to increase my stamina. I needed the upgrade. More power! Exclaimed the Cyclops. Sakura was able to nod and went on. Head back to Ravenwood. Tell Professor Drake that Naruto Uzumaki passed through and helped out. I would not have won that without help. She informed them. I'll be a while. The other pupils exchanged glances. One of them gave a headshake. After saying, you guys go on. I'll bring her back when she passes out. He proceeded to an oddly indoor bench. She's gonna need the help if she's going for this. That was not answered by Sakura. She just kept sparring with her Cyclops. Somewhere. Penny and Sasuke were departing from a tower with a lava-filled fountain beside it. Penny informed him, she was a bit of a challenge, Sasuke. As they began to return to a witch, he acknowledged, being a banshee, I'm not surprised. Most death spells won't do much for it. Still, Bastila was a welcome challenge. Mind if I ask a question? She gave a nod. Sure, how do you get fangirls to stop looking at you? She was perplexed by this. What do you mean, back home? I've got at least 60% of the females in the village wanting to get in my pants, even stalking me. My teammates don't know they still do. I've tried everything I can to get rid of them, but nothing works. Penny thought for a moment as they walked. That's a tough one. How badly do they want you? I once saw them making a shrine to a piece of hair, it was mine. She shook her head, saying, wow. If I were you, I'd ask for tips on pranking from Naruto. And why would I do that? Because if you can't get rid of them, make it so they won't want to follow you. Pranking is one way for Naruto to train, though from what I know he used that experience on the upper ranks in the village. If you can hit them in their pride, and make it so they won't be able to look their best, they might stop following you, just so they can try to look their best. It's what they think, right? Impress you by looks alone. Make them unable to look their best. That's Naruto's department. Then Sasuke's eyes widened as he realized that might work. They went to Greta Darkkettle's house, spoke with her, and gave her the hair. If it doesn't, just get one of those missions and have Naruto put on the list, so he can get them all to stop bothering you. To break the curse, she created the potion. Thank you, Greta. Let Private Quinn know it's done, and then help fix them. They headed back to the soldier, Private Quinn, and a much bigger fountain. He gave him an update, nodded, and instructed them to pursue the Fire Elves' leader, Alakane Swiftarrow. He's the leader, and with him cured, the others should still follow his lead. Sasuke turned to face the Fire Globe Theater and remarked, a long shot, but it might work. Penny, let's get moving. I'll head for Alakane. I'm a bit better at necromancy than you are, and you'll need the stamina training. You've got your chakra unlocked, and you'll have to learn to control it. Feeling out how the spells work with chakra, and replicating them helps out your control. I learned that firsthand. But you'll still need to increase your chakra reserves. Mana can only get you so far. Having chakra to fall back on will help. Penny gave a nod. Right. With Naruto, Sakura was left alone, so he got off and went to investigate. When he finally found himself on the night side, he was shocked to see what was there. The death school. He glanced around, recognizing his location. Night side. I take it that's where you ended up. Headmaster Ambrose should be informed. In his mind, Mulinda Wu's voice said, Naruto, can you hear me? Professor Wu. Yes. I have something for you. Well, I was about to go to Headmaster Ambrose. Found something he'd want to know about. Meet me in his office? Of course. This is something that would be important to you, considering what I found. Naruto then leapt and made his way to Ravenwood, which is located next to the location of the death school. Got it. See you then, Professor. He sighed as he turned around and left, making his way into Ambrose's office. Headmaster, Professor Wu. Ah, Naruto. What can I do for you? Both of their eyes widened when he said, I have news about the death school. With a nod, you found it? Where is it now? Nightside. I didn't go inside, but I know it's there. The death school, death tower, and even Mortis. They're all there. My word. I ask that you only tell those in your squad, and they know not to let the others know. Naruto gave a nod. Professor Wu, you said you had something for me before I could come here? She took out a small box after nodding. It was under the floorboards in the life school. I only recently found it, and it had your name on it. I can't seem to open it with my own magic. I don't know why, though. Ambrose was intrigued. Mind if I take a crack at it? Naruto gave a headshake. Headmaster, I don't think you can open it. Please. I'm one of the best there is these days. Naruto pointed at a small marking on the lock. This lock is a special one. It's magic, but not just any kind of magic. I recognize this marking. Easily, in fact. It makes it so only one person can open it, no matter how powerful the unlocking spell is. It won't work unless you're meant to open it. And since it has your name on it, Sylvia probably thought I'd come back and left something for when I did. Naruto finished for her. At that, Ambrose gave a nod. Well, what are you waiting for? Naruto sighed, and used the minor unlocking spell. It opened, and he lifted the lid, and saw something slightly unexpected. It looked like a jagged blade that curved twice. The blade itself was a light blue, but there was a lot of magical energy emanating from it. He could simply feel the magic in it. He picked it up, and held it in his hand, as it resized to fit his hand. It went from a 27-inch blade, curve included, to about 22 inches for the blade. After it shrunk slightly, while retaining its shape mostly, it felt completely right in his hands. He then looked into the box and found a note. He picked it up and began to read. Naruto, this blade is one I found. No one else knows I had found it, and I'm glad for that. Now, I'm giving it to you. It will grow as you do. It's called the shock blade of the hoarder. I found it in an auction. Since none of the others there knew what it really was, thinking it was just a strange blade, I was the only one that noticed. Not even my husband knew I had this. Please look after this blade for me. They know that I hoped you would return someday so you could receive this, if I'm still alive when you read this. It ought to fit you nicely. Good luck in life and make good use of it, Drake, Sylvia. He nodded slightly and grinned a little. He glanced at the blade and said, Sylvia. Thank you. This will help me out a lot. Well. This is quite an oddity. Most Thurgists don't bother with weapons, but I can feel the amount of magic in it. It may be why she had it hidden. The message was held up by Naruto. As he finished, Ambrose laughed and said, Read it. You'll see why she had it. Yes, that would be just like her. He looked at Naruto. It is rightfully yours, as this note pointed out. Probably also noted by your name being on the box. Although, I'm afraid I can't help you in using it. Naruto gave that a nod. I'll have to ask Kakashi Sensei about that. Ambrose gave a nod. Alright, so what's the news on Trident Avenue? Naruto noted that the Harvest Lord was employed by Malair apparently. The guy was an idiot, and talked too much. Apparently, he's trying to divert our attention from what he's really planning, playing dumb and asking, why? All the time really helps. He's got loose lips. Ambrose chuckled at that. Same old Naruto. Well, I had asked Kakashi to help out on Colossus Boulevard. You'll probably find him there. Keep that blade safe, Naruto. It is a remnant of Sylvia. If anyone even tries to take it, they're getting a storm Kyuubi up their ass, he said. His face was angry at the idea, and his voice conveyed a very serious tone. Shinobi or not, no one will take this from me. Consequences be damned. Ambrose turned to face Professor Wu, who merely gave a nod. As long as they aren't important, you would have full rights to cut off their hands for stealing it, depending on where you are. Naruto's anger temporarily subsided as he grinned. He bowed his head to them both after placing the blade on his back and covering it with a sheath. Thank you for letting me know about this. I highly appreciate it. As Professor Wu put it, you are welcome. Ambrose gave a nod of approval. Subsequently, Naruto exited the room, then the building, and finally headed for Colossus Boulevard. Castle Gobblestone. After negotiating with the Gobbler King, Kakashi let out a sigh. I see what you mean, wizard. Thank you for letting us stay here. Trust me, I know what it's like to lose my own home. 3 of them were destroyed in their entirety. The 4th was damaged several times, but it's still there. Kakashi replied calmly. I'm glad we could settle this peacefully though. I didn't want to kill your subjects, your majesty. I left the prince downstairs unconscious, even though I could have killed him if I wanted to. I very much doubt that, but I do not see much problems anymore. We will not go any further into Wizard City. Thank you for giving us a home. Kakashi grinned. When you've got as many tricks up your sleeve as I do. Kakashi. Sensei, I have a question. Naruto interrupted him by descending beside Kakashi. Oh, Naruto. I was just talking to the Gobbler King. Deal was sealed. They stay on Colossus Boulevard, and leave the rest of Wizard City alone, and they can stay. Naruto gave a nod. I get it. Their old home was either taken over or destroyed, and they had to leave. Kakashi gave nod. He still thinks I could not have killed the prince downstairs. Naruto's eyebrow went up. He turned to the Gobbler King and asked, the one that copied 1000 ninjutsu? Hate to break it to you, but this guy could probably kill anyone in the spiral in one of 1500 ways without resorting to magic. Trust me when I say, he'd do it if he had to. He then turned to Kakashi. I need some training with a sword. Oh, what kind? Tanto? Nodashi? Katana? He took the Stormblade from his chest and pulled it out. This. After looking it over, Kakashi nodded. I can work out the basics based on the size and shape of the sword, but anything past that is up to you. I can't help that much past that. Naruto gave a nod. If I were you, I'd actually go for Nodashi usage for basics, but other than that, you should develop the style on your own. It's not a blade normally used in the elemental nations, unfortunately. With a nod, Naruto replaced it in his sheath. Anyway, I also have news, and the entire squad needs to hear it, Penny included. Why her? Sasuke and Penny benefit the most from it. I think you can figure it out from there, but it can't get out past us. A nod. Death School. Sasuke was heading to Firecat Alley, from what I know. Penny may be with him. Naruto gave that a nod. Alright. I'll be heading to my house. I've already mastered most of my life spells. Cage Bunshin work wonders with spells. With as many as you can make, I'm surprised you can get one spell off. Naruto informed him. Sensei? Cage Bunshin only split your chakra, not your mana. He teleported out, saying, food for thought. Somewhere. Penny and Sasuke were approaching Private Quinn. Sasuke informed him, it's done. Alicane is free. The soldier said, thank you, young wizards. I am glad you were able to help. We were glad to help. Penny replied. Right, Sasuke? Sasuke was reluctant to acknowledge it, but he said, it's more Naruto's style, but it actually felt good to beat on others that were harming someone's friends. Penny blinked as he teleported out, saying, I should get going. It's getting late, after all. Sorry, he's not used to helping others out. I'm trying to get him to open up for a friend. That makes more sense. So, who's the friend? You'd probably know him as the Storm Fox. The Storm Fox? Is he back? Penny answered, has been for a while. I mean, when I found out. Anyway, he's back but he's on a mission. That mission is to get Malair back to himself. Well, good luck with that. Hoping he'll appreciate it? At that moment, someone in storm symbols teleported directly next to her. Naruto was there when she looked. Naruto. He said, hey, class info. Need to talk. She gave him a perplexed look. Rank? Comparable to S-Code Death. Her gaze expanded. Naruto simply nodded and kissed her before he withdrew. I'll be at the royal estate, then. See you there? He asked. You know it. Gotta find Sasuke and Sakura. She acknowledged. Sasuke just left. Dunno where you went. He extended his hand and said, well, I think Sensei will find him faster than I will. Care to help find Sakura? She gave a headshake. As they teleported out, they said, with you? Any day. Achilles' Castle Sakura and the Cyclops minion she had called forth were still engaged in combat. She was about to dismiss the fact that she was panting once more when Naruto and Penny appeared via teleportation. The 3 nearby looked at them. Naruto? I thought you left. He looked at her. Team meeting. Code Death, classified, rank S Royal Estate. She was taken aback. Are you serious? Completely. Sensei's probably looking for Sasuke now to let him know. Sakura looked at the Cyclops, who dispelled, after nodding. Sakura left by teleporting. The royal estate Penny and the rest of the team were seated in a circle in the greenhouse. Naruto raised his voice. Naruto said simply, I found the death school. Where is it? It's in a place called Nightside. You'd have to jump over a lot of places, climb a lot of walls, and not fall before you reach the underside of Wizard City, but there is another way. Currently, the only door there is locked, and spells won't unlock it. It's been tried. The only thing I figure that can is a key with an identical signature to the lock. Sighed Naruto. Sadly, I don't know where the key is, nor do I even know where to look. Why don't you just lead us to the other side of it? Kakashi questioned. Naruto glanced at her and said, because of the jumps required, and I'm not sure if Penny can get there like that. Unless you can accurately jump 40 feet forward in a single jump 3 times in a row, then you won't be able to make it there until we get the key. Oh. She appeared dejected. And that's why I plan to ask Headmaster Ambrose for some kind of clue as to where the key may be. I know the key isn't in Firecat Alley, Trident Avenue, Cyclops Lane, or Unicorn Way. I would have picked up its signature, and gotten it already. That leaves the Dark Cave, Haunted Cave, and... well, basically it's just the caves that are left. Penny and I have been in the Dark Cave already. We can assume that, since it's important, it'll be in a tower. Everything so far has been. Dark Cave doesn't have any towers in it, or any notable residents. I doubt it's there. Sasuke pointed out. Naruto was in thought. Wait a second. There's only one tower in town I haven't seen since I got back. Sasuke has a point. Important things seem to have been relocated into the towers. Haunted Cave. It's gotta be there. What makes you think that? Kakashi questioned. Nightside wasn't closed off last time, and there was no key. However, there is more to it than that. Sasuke has a point about the important items being in towers. There's only one tower I haven't seen since I got back, and it's in the Haunted Cave. Stormdrain Tower. The place gave me the creeps last time around. So, we just go in there, and get it? Sakura asked. Not that simple. Naruto answered. Each tower has a guardian. There just so happens to be a wraith in Stormdrain Tower. A wraith? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Why would there be one there? Beats me. All I know is, last time I was here, I tried to get in there for a dare. I picked the lock, and got in easily. It's worse for security than Konohagakure is. And I got by every security system in the village for pranking purposes. So, how long do you think it'll take to get back in? Give me a week. I figure out everything I can, and try to get in there. Every way in, every way out, the whole 9 yards. Study hard, get as much rest as you can, and we'll go in there. Deal? Everyone else nodded. Just then, Ambrose teleported in. Naruto, I would like to have a word with you. He looked at the others. Preferably alone, as it only deals with you. Whatever it is, my team should know. That way, they can contact me if they need me. Ambrose gave a headshake. You'll be much more busy for this, my boy. You're also the only one I know I can trust with this, and it should help you test your skills in life as well. Naruto let out a sigh. Can you give me a week? I kind of need to scout out Stormdrain Tower. Are you planning to face Nightshade? Naruto simply gave a flat look in response. Maybe. Make sure you take the others with you when you do, but why a week? For them to be able to get in too. He may have something we can use. Naruto went on. I see. Well, if they head to Saphira's tower, Foulgaze tends to guard the key you would want. Take the key from him, and you'll get into Stormdrain Tower with ease. Of course, that would be the front door, but you get my point, right? Naruto answered, that's better than a week, but I still need to make sure. After this is over, I'll meet with you, and see what I can do. I'll also bring Karina along, for whatever it is. Please do. Naruto guided Penny and the other members of Team 7 to Saphira's tower. He came to a halt before the door. He was looked at by the others, who said, listen carefully guys. Headmaster Ambrose wants me to handle the Wizard Cup, so for now I'll have to do things on my own. The 4 of you should stick together for the most part. What about you? Asked Kakashi. After all, you are a genin. Sensei, I'll be using the Stormhouse for the most part. I've got to make sure that Karina heals properly. Aside from that, I also have far more experience in spell casting than any of you. I also know the spiral better than you guys, so I'll be fine. You guys are still relatively new to this. When I win the Wizard Cup, I'll ask the headmaster where you guys are. I've already regained the keystones for Wizard City and Marylebone. If you end up going anywhere but those 2, then I'll find a way to get there. And Penny? She gave him a look. You want to make sure I'm still okay, don't you? He gave a nod. If anything, I'll tell you all this. If something happens to Penny, it's coming out of someone's hide. Learn what you can, and experience the spiral. If something happens that really isn't your problem, help out anyway. Sasuke, Sakura, Penny, the three of you need the experience. Sensei, you need to learn the difference between the spiral and elementia. Use this as a learning experience. Also, train them in control in everything you can. The way they use their spells will also reflect their minds. Use that to determine what path they should take when we get back, and start them on those paths. Each of them gave a nod. Oh, and Naruto, Sensei. Kakashi concluded, whenever you can, work on those control exercises. With a thumbs up, Naruto said, will do. Anyway, I should get going. Penny said, good luck, Naruto. Sasuke smirked and said, don't mess up, Dobi. Naruto smiled and replied, shut it, Teme. Oh, and Sakura? What? She asked, raising an eyebrow in response. Sakura blinked, forgetting her irritation, and said, keep the others in line. If anyone can do it, you can. Okay. Naruto gave a nod. He teleported off, saying, well, I'm off, later. With Naruto in the headmaster's office, Naruto emerged. Professor Ambrose? The elderly man said, Naruto. I take it you are ready to set out? Naruto gave a nod. Ambrose removed a tiny stone that had a runic design on it. Almost anyone would think it was chicken scratch. That is the keystone to Asteria. More specifically, Pigswick Academy. I'm sure you remember them. Naruto gave a nod. I take it Pigswick is hosting this decade's Wizard Cup? Ambrose gave a nod. Oh, and be sure to save your Storm Kyuubi spell. I do not believe you would need it, but just in case, be on your guard. And please, do not resort to your shinobi techniques. Naruto gave a shrug. I've made variants of the jutsu I know of into actual spells. Elemental jutsu turn into balance spells, and elemental jutsu are placed into school their effects match. They count as original spells. Besides, I've begun to master many of the life spells. Either way, wish me luck. I shall. Speak with Mr. Lincoln before you go. He has the school insignia ring. You need it to prove you are the one chosen to take part for Ravenwood. Naruto gave a nod. Keep track of where my team and Penny go while I'm gone. That way, I can head straight to them after I'm done. Ambrose gave a nod. After leaving and making his way to Golem Court, Naruto came across what appeared to be a mallard wearing a black suit and a graduation cap. Mr. Lincoln. Naruto. Good to see you, lad. I take it you accepted Headmaster Ambrose's offer? Naruto gave a shrug. I need an accurate judge for the life school. Unknown wizards would help, and if all else fails, I've still got Storm to back me up. Mr. Lincoln gave a nod. Very well then. He gave Naruto a regular ring featuring an oak tree and a raven overlapping it. The signet ring of Ravenwood Academy. There's only one of those, so be careful. Knowing you, someone is going to try and sabotage your chances. Naruto gave a headshake. You're talking to the Storm Fox. I'm just as tricky as I am chaotic. You would do well to remember that, Mr. Lincoln. Well, either way, good luck in the Wizard Cup, Naruto. Do bring home the cup. Naruto smiled. Naruto teleported out and found himself inside Bartleby, near the spiral door, saying, I intend to. Naruto sealed the ring onto his pants leg, used the keystone to open the door, and entered. The Hoarder's Shockblade by his side. Karina was on his right shoulder, looking well. Naruto entered a courtyard through a door on the opposite side. Whistling, he looked around. With buildings stacked up and side by side, reaching up to 4 stories above the ground, the area easily resembled a metropolis. This place looks like Marylebone. Only a lot more lively. He approached what appeared to be a robed pig. Naruto said to the pig, excuse me, is this where I sign up for the Wizard Cup? Naruto nodded and took a ring out of his pocket. Do you have your school's signet ring? He asked. He had transformed a small pebble into an exact replica of the Ravenwood signet ring, including the signature it emits, by applying a henge to it. Very well. Welcome, chosen of Ravenwood. Take a right at the intersection to find the Great Hall. This will be a series of one-on-one duels, and the final 4 will also have a different competition, to be determined later. If you wish to see who you are up against next, you should talk to Benedict Glendemming. He is a master duelist. Naruto gave a shrug. Alright, how long until the first round? Should be starting in about 2 days. Until then, go ahead and get a feel for the place. Do speak with the headmistress, however. She is eager to see who Ravenwood was sending this time. Naruto looked out after nodding. The pig blinked and said, Female, about 600 mana on the Elmanese scale? That is the headmistress, yes. Not an easy feat, either. Naruto added after the fact, but her mana seems more specialized than most I've seen. It wouldn't surprise me if she sacrificed some of her branch's abilities to achieve that high. However, old man Ambrose didn't give up on any branches, and she still has less than him. After returning the fake ring to his pocket, Naruto left. Karina was on his shoulder as he strolled around, just looking at the buildings. This place. Something is off, Naruto pondered. You feel it too? Inquired Karina. After giving a nod, Naruto approached the tournament hall. He saw several duelists' paintings as he walked into the hall. His eyes widened at the sight of one on the right. He was clearly taken aback when he exclaimed, Kami. They have a portrait of Enrique Montoya Ricardo Sacala Cortez III. A voice approached him and said, yes. Rumor has it he was a practitioner of the Chaos School. It appeared to be a bipedal horse with a golden mane. His robes made him appear much more regal than most nobles, and he carried a fencing rapier at his side, indicating that he was a dueling champion. But the horse said, I do not believe that rumor, however. Naruto examined the portrait and said, You're right. He wasn't a practitioner of the Chaos School, whatever that is. He was actually a practitioner of the Balanced School, or at least the natural equivalent. His heart was the most balanced there ever was. No one had a heart with such a powerful concentration of light and dark. He is quite possibly a god when it comes to being a magical duelist. The horse laughed. I see you do know a thing or two of dueling. So, might I ask who you are, my fellow duelist? Naruto Uzumaki. I'm here for the Wizard Cup, and I just arrived. I was told I arrived early. The woman replied. I recently returned to Ravenwood for a second school of choice, so I still qualify. Yes. Ravenwood Academy. Tell me, is Diego still staying in Wizard City? The horse responded. Yeah, he's been running the dueling arena and teaching wizards how to duel over there. You know him. I do. In fact, he and I are direct cousins. My father was his uncle on his mother's side. I am Benedict Glendemming. A pleasure to meet you, young Uzumaki. Tell me, which schools have you learned from in Ravenwood? Diego keeps me updated on several students he says has potential in their school. I regret to say he has not mentioned your name recently. The horse's eyes widened as he said, Well, I've practically mastered Storm. I'm known as the Storm Fox, after all. The Storm Fox? I say, we do have a treat here. You say you're representing Ravenwood? Naruto gave a nod. Very well, then. Your first match is in 3 days. You're in Block 3. Many schools have sent multiple students, though, for some reason. I am confused as to why Ambrose only sent one. He only had one ring, and chose the strongest wizard that was still a student. As a Storm student, I'm on par with the current Storm professor. However, I'm only an adept in life, so I only intend on resorting to Storm in a pinch, or I'm up to going all out for one reason or another. Naruto clarified. Benedict gave a flourish and left after saying, Makes sense. I look forward to your next match. For now, have a look around. Your match will begin in the Basilisk Chamber. Good luck, lad. Naruto gave him a smile. He's a good man. He's a Grandmaster duelist. A champion, at that. He's on the same level as Diego back in Wizard City, though it's so close between them it could go either way. Naruto stated to the fox on his shoulder. Come on. Why don't we go say hi to the headmistress? As Naruto wandered around, searching for anything he might need, Karina asked, Why not? He had discovered numerous schools and gained as much knowledge as he could from them. Additionally, he had located the guest dormitories and made the decision to speak with the headmistress before taking any action there. He chose to introduce himself to the headmistress after learning the general layout of Wisteria's central square by heart. As a student left, he went into the headmistress's office and approached her. He bowed slightly and said, Good day. I take it you are the headmistress of Pigswick Academy? The woman said, I am. I believe you are a new student? I am Headmistress Belladonna Crisp. He looked up and said, In fact, I am a Wizard Cup competitor. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I figured I should introduce myself to the one in charge in case something strange happens. Her eyes narrowed. Naruto saw that she clearly disliked Ravenwood and said, I see. You are a Storm student from Ravenwood. Look, whatever quarrel you have with Ravenwood Academy has nothing to do with me. I'm only a temporary student until we can connect my world to the spiral. I've been taking classes in life to honor an old friend of mine. My ties are not to Ravenwood, but my home. If you're going to take your hatred of Ravenwood, or whatever their students or professors did to you however many years ago it was, then no, I will not stand for it, and that I don't take that from anyone. I will get even. He cautioned. Do not test me. This is the only warning I will give you. If I find out you have tried to sabotage me, then no, you will not get off scot-free. No one ever does. He turned to leave. He paused at the door and glanced over his left shoulder, saying, one more thing. He quietly closed the door after leaving the room, saying, if there is trouble going around, I will handle it. Unless you give me a reason, I will not strike you. Do not give me a reason, because when I play the game of revenge, I play for keeps. The woman just fell back into her chair, panting. What a powerful aura. He is nothing like the past students from Ravenwood, who would rather hold hands and sing Kumbaya than fight. Outside, Naruto sighed, shaking his head. You know, Karina, you didn't have to unleash the key, right? She was going to insult you for who you work with. I know you don't like it when people make the wrong assumptions like that. I know, but you didn't have to blast her like that, Naruto retorted. Either way, we got the message across. After all, you're not known as the Demon King of Pranks for no reason, Karina pointed out. True. Naruto nodded, before deciding to talk to the greeter to see where he'll be bunking, or if he'll have to use his own house. Finding out he had a dorm room in-house was good enough. He went to the dorms after obtaining his room number and met his roommates. A fairy said, so, you're our last roomie. Naruto noticed a variety of species when he looked around. Looks like it. I am Naruto Uzumaki. And, you are. The fairy saw his genuine politeness and nodded. My name is Beatrice Wildwind. Pleasure to meet you. Next to speak was another creature that resembled a pig. Randolph Spellsheen. Don't touch my stuff, and we won't have any problems. The next one had a goat-like appearance. Naruto deduced that the man was from Mushu based on his appearance. Kisai Shugenja. I am from Mushu. Naruto blinked. He got a shake of the head when he said, you don't talk much, do you Kisai? Huh. He glanced at the final one, whom Naruto recognized as a desert raider right away. Although Naruto could hear the undertone, she spoke in a flat tone, Nalia Doomstrider. He let out a sigh. They all gave him a startled look as he said, I see. I got two loners, a paranoid pig, and a hyperactive Phi as roommates. He turned to Randolph and said, well, I'll put it to you this way, in ways you all may understand. I had people after my life since the day I was born, for a reason out of my control. He turned to Kisai. For Beatrice's sake, I always stand my ground and defend my honor as needed. I'm a grandmaster prankster back home. Then he looked at Nalia. He turned back to Randolph and said, this is honor among thieves of all kinds. Whether they are shinobi, bandits, or raiders does not matter. So, where's my bunk? They all stared at him and pointed to the same bed around the corner. After giving a nod, he lay down and closed his eyes. And just know that I'm used to waking up at the sound of someone about to slit my throat, so if I'm asleep, and I strike while you try to wake me up, that's why I'd attack. For 10 more minutes, they all gazed at him while the blue fox cuddled up to him. After the silence, Beatrice said, I like him. To which Nalia replied, you would. What did he mean by that, though? Even with other shinobi lack honor. Unless he's Froma. She interrupted herself. However, how? That world isn't even in the spiral. The goat man simply made his way to his bed and chose to go to sleep. Nalia simply closed her eyes, crossed her arms, and sat in a chair. Randolph let out a sigh. It's possible that this guy had it worse than I did. Over the course of the following 2 days, Naruto simply wandered around and discovered the library, where he used 30 clones to read a number of the books. Many of them were lore, legends, and creatures that were known across the spiral. He also knew that Nalia was watching him every minute of the day. Finally, his match had come, and he spoke to Benedict. Ah, young Uzumaki. I have not seen you since you arrived. How have you been? Pretty good, sir. I've been followed by one of my roommates practically 24/7 since I met up with them. Nalia tensed. She probably doesn't even know I can sense her, and the times one of the others have been doing so, either. You are an experienced fighter, I see. Naruto shrugged and said, actually, I'm just a paranoid prank king shinobi. I'm from a place outside the spiral usually. I first got to Wizard City by random chance. Second time was on purpose, which leads me to the now. Even though she was still hidden, Nalia grinned. This merely supported her hypothesis. I see. Well, Uzumaki, your first match is in the Chamber of the Basilisk. Good luck, lad. I'll be watching to see how you do. After nodding, Naruto entered the chamber he had been told about and discovered a yellow pig dressed like a Pigswick student. Well. If it isn't a Ravenwood student, I'll go easy on you. Naruto's expression changed from flat to deadpan. It appears that a lot of people have forgotten about me. Alright, how about we educate them? As the arena engaged, Karen leapt onto the ground beside Naruto and grinned broadly. With pleasure, Naruto. She exclaimed. Many people were surprised when Naruto drew his Shockblade and was given 6 normal pip to begin. You must be a newbie. The pig exclaimed with a laugh. I'll even let you have the first move. Naruto gave a headshake. His tone was flat as he said, You're an idiot. He took out a card and used it to cast a spell, saying, Oh well. Your loss. Before a centaur appeared and aimed his arrow at the student, knocking him unconscious, the arena floor changed to a verdant area. Karina ran up his arm as he extended it. If this is the strength of the others in the tournament, I really overestimated them, Karina. No kidding. As he left the arena, he heard the cheers and shook his head. He made his way back to the waiting room and saw Nalia there waiting for him. You're an elemental shinobi, aren't you? She questioned. Naruto blinked. Pardon? I know that I heard what you told Benedict. I had theory as to where you had been, but that world is one that wasn't connected to the spiral. My clan is the only family in the spiral that knows of the place. There is another entrance to that world in a separate area of Krokotopia. If you're ever in the area, be sure to look me up after the tournament. We guard the only portal. It is about 300 kilometers southwest of a place known as Sanagakure, about 100 kilometers away from the nearest town. Naruto's gaze expanded. There's a spiral door in Fire Country, a ways east from Sanagakure. At a civilian pace, it would take about 6 hours from the north gates of Konohagakure in Fire Country. Sanagakure is in Wind Country. Nalia gave a nod. Makes sense, I suppose. It is not connected to the spiral through any official means, but an old Suna Kunoichi is still in Krokotopia. She has been on the run and had faked her death to get away from her husband and tries to subtly reduce the aggression he puts on their third child. He inquired, primarily to get confirmation, so she abandoned the father but not the son. Nalia gave a nod. Why? The son needs guidance. He's basically on his own. His own siblings are afraid of him, and he has assassins after his life monthly. Sometimes up to 10 times a month. She's having a hard time keeping him sane. His father, her husband, is the current Kage. Their youngest son is a Jinchuriki. At this point, Naruto stopped moving and gave her a stony look. Which Biju? After a few moments of staring at him, Nalia understood what he was really requesting. I would ask which one you have, but it's kind of obvious, now that I think about it. His name is Gaara. He holds the Ichibi no Shukaku. If you ever meet him, let him know his mother is still trying to contact him, though he has tuned her out. She is only allowed to work indirectly now, as she has been pronounced dead, and this was done directly after birth, so no one could have expected a switch. Naruto gave a headshake. You've learned the shinobi way, I see. Nalia gave a nod. What do you expect? My clan has a direct link to Sanagakure. We're also the only ones that are aware of chakra in the spiral. Although, I suppose that isn't exactly true anymore. Nalia nodded and asked, have you met Gaara before? What is he like? His life was basically hell, Naruto. He's turned into a sociopath, especially since he's cut any connection with his actual mother, who still keeps an eye on him in sadness. I have met him before, as I said, and I have talked to him on neutral terms. He knows I'm trustworthy, and he knows my name. If you ever meet him in person yourself, then mention my name. You are a friend of mine. My proficiency in the shinobi arts is the highest in my clan, regardless of my age. That's why I was sent here to represent my clan, and Krokotopia as a whole, Nalia clarified. Since he had a match in 2 days, he actually used that time to talk to Nalia and train covertly outside of Tanglewood Gorge with his Kage Bunshin. Naturally, for some reason, he had to postpone his next match. After speaking with Benedict, he learned that the Spiral Cup, the Wizard Cup's first prize, had been taken. Benedict handed Naruto the evidence found with a disappointed look on his face. Wondering why, Naruto brought it to the headmistress. Here's the evidence that Benedict found, but I get the feeling that there's something in there that I'll end up laughing at, Naruto replied. Raising an eyebrow, Belladonna opened the package, took out a signet ring, and gave him a fierce look. Naruto just stared at it, before he chuckled. Wow. I can't believe they didn't try using Dispel on the thing, he commented. Explain. That's not the real signet ring. A puff of smoke emanated from his right thigh, and he showed the real signet ring. I've had the real one sealed into my pants leg this whole time. I figured that someone would try to frame me for something, so I took precautions. You can never be too careful in my line of work. Go ahead and use a dispelling charm on that ring. She did, and then the ring that was in the folder turned into a small gray pebble, surprising her. This is a fake ring I made for the sole purpose of misdirection, under an illusion that isn't mana-based. He finished for her. I'm probably one of the most paranoid beings in town right now. Having people after your life ever since the day you were born tends to do that to you. He sealed the real ring into his pants again. As you can see, I actually came prepared. So, you have any idea who would do this, or do I have to find them myself? She hummed. I believe it better if you do so yourself. I did not put out any bulletin to not mess with you, but after our last meeting, I believed it to be unwise to sabotage you at all. I do not know who would do so, but I do know that said person would likely be in the tournament. As the evidence was actually a fake ring, which you obviously knew about, it wouldn't be you. If you were to drop a ring, you'd have dropped the real one, but, as you demonstrated, you had prepared for sabotage. I would ask for some help later on, however. For now, until the cup is found, all matches are to be postponed. Naruto hummed. I'll look for the cup. I've memorized the aura of the being that touched the fake ring. If I come across them in the tournament, they're going to see me use my most powerful spell. And, if you must know, that spell could possibly obliterate 80% of Wizard City if used at full power. It's a good thing the arenas all have a barrier protecting the stands from collateral damage. Naruto gave a shrug. Well, I'll probably be using a spell called Otherworld first. You ever hear me bring it up, then that is the one that tried to frame me. Belladonna nodded and said, I'll keep an ear out. In the meantime, we'll need to find the cup. Do tell Benedict that you are innocent. After nodding, Naruto walked out of the office to look for the spiral cup. He squinted at the stand, searching for any lingering magic. Benedict approached him. Uzumaki? Someone tried to frame me by using the fake ring I made using a pebble and an illusion as a misdirection. I figured someone would try to sabotage me, so I took precautions. Right now, I'm trying to pick up any residual magic in the area. Naruto clarified. Headmistress Crisp asked me to find the true culprit and/or the cup itself. As reparations, of course. Whoever took it wanted me out of the running, going as far as taking the fake ring I made. Someone rushed toward them. Naruto. Both of them exclaimed as the fairy swooped toward them. Beatrice was the one. Beatrice. What's up? With urgency in her voice, she informed him, someone took your signet ring. To Beatrice's surprise, Naruto said, I know. Someone tried to frame me for stealing the spiral cup. They also took the decoy ring I had in case someone tried just that. After receiving a nod, she said, You mean, you saw this coming? She let out a sigh. I'll go let Nalia and the others know, then. Listen, when the others found out Randolph hit the wall, Nalia is ready to go berserk. Kisai is gripping his sword with a look of rage in his eyes, and I think you could see how frantic I was. Naruto gave a nod. Thanks for the info, Beatrice. The matches are postponed until the cup is found. I intend to find it myself, since someone tried to use me as a scapegoat. Beatrice gave a nod and took off. After turning back toward the pedestal, Naruto eventually caught sight of the 3 mana signatures nearby. The one on the ring matched one of them. Karina? I've got the scent, Naruto. Don't worry. The same scent was on the fake ring. Naruto followed Karina as she leapt to the ground and took off, saying, Then lead the way. They proceeded all the way to the Pegasus Place entrance, presented the guard papers to gain entry, and then entered. After guiding him through the streets, Karina's gaze narrowed upon what Naruto knew to be a hobgoblin. He has the cup on him. The ring was planted by someone else, but he has the cup. After narrowing his eyes, Naruto made several hand gestures and inhaled deeply. Before the wind increased and pushed the hobgoblin into the wall, knocking it unconscious, he muttered, Fuden. Divine Windjutsu. After searching through the pockets, he discovered the cup. He held it in his hand, picked up the moron, and carried them both into Pigswick Academy, dropping them in front of Benedict. There you are. This is the one that we found holding onto the cup. He's not the thief, nor is he the one that planted the fake ring, but he's the one who had the cup. Benedict gave a nod. I will interrogate him at once. Place the cup in its rightful position. I will handle this one. Under Benedict's watchful gaze, Naruto nodded and replaced the cup. After letting out a sigh, he touched the base and released his chakra. Benedict saw the flare but did not feel it. I just made sure the cup will stay where it is for a week, or until I remove the seal keeping it there. The only way it will be moved otherwise is by overpowering the energy I put into it in both overall strength and potency. That thing isn't going anywhere, as I used enough to effectively triple Headmistress Crisp's mana level in amount alone. It's also 5 times as potent, so it'll take 15 times the amount she has. Not even Merle Ambrose himself has that much mana. Benedict gave a nod. Thank you, young Uzumaki. Matches will resume tomorrow. Your next match is at 10 o'clock, in the room of the Hydra. Naruto gave a nod. And Benedict? Make him squirm. I want to know who hired him to hold on to the cup. We traced the scent of the cup, not the thief. Naruto walked back to the dorm, and saw the others. Found the cup, but not the culprit. Nalia looked at him. I am sorry. I did not realize someone would try to take the signet ring. Naruto gave a shrug. It was a decoy ring. I wasn't that worried. Randolph nodded. It was likely taken while all of us were out last night. I can't make heads or tails of who did it, though. Kisai nodded at Naruto. I am sorry, Naruto. I did not realize what happened. Naruto shrugged in response. Not your fault, guys. You don't have the magical signature of the thief, so I know you didn't do it. Nalia began. You said it was a decoy ring. If that was the case, then where is the true ring? I had it sealed off so only I knew where it was. I have since found out that chakra-based illusions can't be detected by those that don't know of its existence. Heck, I showed the decoy ring to Ms. Dowager, and even she mistook it for the real one. Nalia gave a nod. It's a good thing you're still in the running. I wish to face you, not in a wizard duel, but a duel between clans. The Dune Raiders versus the last known Uzumaki. Naruto's eyebrow went up. Pardon? You did not know of the Uzumaki clan? Naruto gave a headshake. I was never told my heritage by my village, had to find out on my own, and even then the information was sparse at best when it came to origins. Nalia we are in the office of the Hokage. A week had passed since Team 7 returned from Takigakure. Although no one ever noticed, Naruto Uzumaki was carrying a small deck box on his left hip while sporting his typical blue and orange jumpsuit. He never saw the need to really use what was inside, but he always had it there. Sakura Haruno was dressed in her traditional Part 1 red dress. Sasuke was dressed in his bright tan shorts and blue t-shirt. With only his right eye, silver hair, and fingers past the first knuckle visible, their sensei, Kakashi Hitaki, was undoubtedly the most enigmatic of them all. He was reading an orange book as well. Without taking his eyes off his book, Kakashi remarked, Hokage. Sama, I think a C rank would help them out. They've been far too high, strung, and need an outlet. Kakashi. A random chunin began, but Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, interrupted. Kakashi. Why do you believe they should get another one this soon? They need a cool-down period of 3D rank missions, you know that. Considering who's on my team, the only one that would actually need the cool-down period is Sakura, and she's not going for it either. Kakashi made the point. With a simple sigh, the Hokage took one from the rack. The escort was a low C rank. Before he tossed the scroll to Kakashi, he said, Send in Seth. A second young man had entered. It looked like the man was wearing a dark orange robe with black trim. In addition, he wore a dark orange pointy hat with a dark blue trim. He wore solid dark blue boots. Naruto recognized the small stick at his side right away. His eyes widened a little, but they soon returned to normal. Kakashi, who had dismissed it as waiting for a successful mission, was the only one who noticed. The boy's head bowed a little. My name is Seth Shadowblade. I am currently trying to get back home, and the only lead I have is actually guarded by what seems to be thugs. I need to get there, but I can't handle those guys on my own, sadly. We'll meet at the North Gate tomorrow at 0800, I will. Naruto interrupted Kakashi stating, I'll let him stay with me. Kakashi noted, Naruto, as the sensei, I should watch over him. I don't think you know what you're dealing with, and he'll probably want someone to talk to about his home. Naruto sighed. Besides, he may have information that I've been wanting to find out myself, if his clothing is any indication. Kakashi asked, You know something about it? It's only a guess, but the chance of it being the truth is really high. Naruto replied. Come on, Seth. I'll show you to my place. Seth arched an eyebrow in perplexity, and Naruto's eyes widened as he saw his deck box, before he began to follow him seriously. The apartment of Naruto, if someone saw it, they would say it wasn't his place because it was surprisingly clean. Conversely, Seth was more interested than anything else. What school are you from? And how did you get here? Replied Seth. Actually, I need to figure something out. Your clothing tells me you attend Ravenwood Wizard Academy, am I right? Seth acknowledged, yeah. I'm a Storm student. I'm still fresh, though. I actually wanted to ask about the life and death teachers, Sylvia and Malair Drake. Was one of them your teacher? Naruto gave a headshake. According to Naruto, who took out several cards, I'm a Storm student, like you. My old deck didn't make the jump when I got here. It was 4 years ago my time. I was there for 2 years, and when I got back, only 14 days had passed. It's not a good thing, sadly, because this world is not connected to the spiral. I ended up there by accident. He displayed a trident card with a gold color. All I have these days are treasure cards, and I made them myself here. The supplies are surprisingly abundant here, minus the mistwood, of course. Wow! Seth exclaimed in awe. He possessed all the spells Seth was aware of, plus some more. Then he noticed it. Is that a... Yup. Naruto exclaimed. A card with a gold temper. Tempest. Arguably my favorite, actually. I make these the most, and for good reason. Why? And how come people here don't use spells? Both questions have the same answer. This world isn't familiar with mana. We use a combination of physical energy and spiritual energy to create another known as chakra. You see, chakra is mainly balanced completely between physical and spiritual. Mana, on the other hand, is 82% mental energy and 18% spiritual energy. So, you ever had to use a card since you've been here? Replied Seth. Nope. But if I did, I'd be using mana, and not chakra. Coming here didn't decrease my mana, nor did my chakra reserves decrease. In fact, I had used what time I could these last 4 years, to learn every spell I had learned at Ravenwood, only without the cards, a wand, or anything really. I managed to reproduce each and every spell I knew from the Storm School, with chakra and mana. Whoa. That's rad. I can sense your mana levels, and if I had to put it into a point system, you'd only have maybe 30 mana. My mana is actually far above 400. Hasn't increased, nor has it decreased since I've been back. I gotta admit, I'm impressed at that. Seth's eyes widened as he said, that's nothing. On the same scale, my chakra reserves would be well over 2 million. No way. He was told by Naruto, yes way. He slowly shook his head, asking, you know why I love Tempest, now? It's because you can't overload it. I can charge as much chakra as I want, and it'll deal even more damage just by adding in more. So who's got the Storm School now? Seth let out a sigh. Professor Ballastrom is pretty funny, and his squeaky voice does even more good for his students. That old frog? Seth blinked. Well, he is a frog. You know him? Seth drew a tenuous parallel between Naruto's fox-like grin and that. What? Let's just say our little record was tied off at 62.62 when I force-activated a portal that brought me back. I was in Marylebone at the time. I never got to finish it off. Rivals? The point made by Naruto was, eternal rivals? Halston Ballastrom and I were always at each other's throats, for reasons unknown to anyone but us. He had become known as the Frog King of Storms. I had gained the title Storm Fox. After all, he revealed a particular gold card. The fox had 9 tails and yellow tips, and it was blue and purple. This is Storm Kyuubi. If a lightning bat spell would take 2 mana, Storm Kyuubi would take 50 mana. This spell is an original. I'm the only one that knows how to pull it off. It's also why I gained the title Storm Fox. Seth blew a whistle. You gotta be a legend of some sort. How come I've never heard of you? Wouldn't be surprised. Most of the Storm School at the time didn't like me that much because I was younger than them by a few years, and yet I always outdid them.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.